Good morning, my dear friend. The world is still hushed, wrapped in the first soft breath of dawn. The horizon stretches open like a promise, brushed with the faint gold of awakening light. Somewhere, a bird dares the first song of the day, and the cool air feels sacred, as though heaven itself leans closer to listen. This is the hour when the earth exhales, when silence becomes a doorway, and the human heart stands most exposed, caught between night's weight and the hope of morning. Maybe you woke today with a heaviness you can't quite name. Perhaps your body rose, but your spirit still lies beneath yesterday's sorrow, the loss that lingers, the fear that clings, the memory that won't loosen its grip. You might be like the woman I met once in a quiet chapel, her hands trembling as she whispered, "I do not know how to believe anymore." Her husband was gone, her job uncertain, her faith fractured by disappointment. Yet even as she spoke, the morning sun filtered through a cracked window and lit her face. It was not a grand miracle, only a shimmer of light, but in that fragile glow she breathed just once without despair. That breath is where the journey begins, between grief and grace, between confusion and courage. There is always one more breath waiting to become prayer. We do not begin because we have perfect faith. We begin because our souls hunger for it. The same God who painted the sunrise has already drawn near to your unspoken H. The sky you see outside your window is his reminder that endings are never final in his hands. Even after the longest night, light still returns, not because you earned it, but because love keeps its word. So as you stand at the edge of this new day, do not rush past this stillness. The world will soon demand your attention. Messages, headlines, noise, but for now, let the morning be holy. Let it whisper that you are seen, known, and never forgotten. This moment, right here, is not random. It is invitation, a summons from the heart of God calling you to lay down the restless thoughts and pick up the quiet strength that only prayer can give. In the hours ahead, we will walk together through the landscapes of faith, valleys of fear, rivers of healing, mountains of joy, and each word will become a step toward restoration. But for now, take a slow breath and listen. The same Spirit that hovered over the waters at creation still moves across the surface of your life, ready to bring order from chaos, peace from turmoil, light from shadows. You do not have to know what to say. You only need to open the door. Let this be your beginning. Let your heart become the altar and your breath the offering. In this sacred stillness of morning, may you find not merely words, but presence. And as you lift your eyes to the rising sun, may you sense what every dawn has always tried to tell you. You are not alone. The light is coming. God is already here. Dear Heavenly Father, the morning light rises slowly, and I sit here, half awake, half reaching for you. The world around me is quiet, yet my thoughts are not. They scatter like leaves in the wind, heavy with yesterday's worries and the unknowns of today. Still, in this fragile stillness, I want to begin again with you. Before I move, before I speak, before I try to make sense of anything, I turn my face toward your presence. I bring to you the weight that sits on my chest, the unspoken fears that shape the edges of my breath. I do not hide them. I simply hold them out to you, trusting that your hands are steadier than mine. You know the kind of night it was. You saw the tossing, the waking, the restless scrolling for something to quiet the noise inside. You heard the words I did not say, the ones I swallowed because they felt too heavy or too hopeless. But you also saw the small, stubborn spark that refused to go out, the spark that whispered, "Try again. Pray again. Hope again." It was you who kept it alive when I could not. So now I come, not with perfect words or polished belief, but with a heart still willing to reach. This morning, I remember that your faithfulness has no expiration. The same mercy that carried me through yesterday is waiting in this sunrise. The same love that calmed my storms still breathes peace into my chaos. When I open my eyes to the light outside, I imagine it pouring straight from your hands, a gentle promise that darkness does not last forever. Even if the day ahead feels uncertain, even if my strength feels small, I know that you are constant. You are not startled by my doubts or disappointed by my weakness. You are simply near, closer than breath, steady as dawn. Teach me how to begin this day in your rhythm, not mine. I rush so easily. I fill my hours with noise, with plans, with the illusion of control. But you invite me to start differently, to pause, to breathe, to listen. Help me find you in the quiet. Help me notice the sacredness hidden in ordinary moments. The smell of coffee, the sound of birds waking, the touch of cool air on my skin. Let every small thing remind me that you are here, that this morning is not random, but wrapped in grace. I bring before you the burdens I can name and the ones I can the H of uncertainty about the future, the silent grief I never quite process, the fear of failing again. I lay them down, not because I know how to fix them, because I trust you know how to hold them. You see what I cannot. You weave redemption where I only see brokenness. You bring meaning to moments that seem wasted. Let that truth settle deeper than my anxiety. Let it become the ground I stand on today. Strengthen me, Lord, in the places where I am weary. Give me courage to do the next right thing, even if it feels small. Remind me that faith does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it is just getting out of bed, taking a breath, choosing kindness when bitterness would be easier. Let your strength become mine, not in flashes of perfection, but in quiet endurance. Help me to see the people around me with new eyes today, the ones who irritate me, the ones who need me, the ones who silently ache like I do. Let my words be gentle. Let my reactions be slow to anger and quick to compassion. Let me be a reflection of your patience in a world that rushes to judge. Fill my mind with peace so that when others step into my presence, they find rest instead of tension. And when fear tries to return, when worry starts whispering again, remind me that you have never abandoned me. You have walked with me through valleys darker than this morning's shadow. You have lifted me when I thought I would not rise again. I may not see the whole path, but I see enough of your light to take the next step. That is enough for today. Let this day be a conversation between us, not a performance. Let my work become prayer, my movement become worship, my silence become trust. Guard my heart from distraction and despair. Teach me how to start this day not by striving, but by surrendering. When I feel small, remind me that your strength is made perfect in my weakness. When I forget, draw me back. When I wander, whisper my name. As the world awakens, I want to awaken too to gratitude, to awareness, to wonder. The night may have been long, but morning has come, and with it, another chance to walk beside you. Let this light not only touch my skin, but sink into my soul, clearing the fog, softening the hardness, reviving what felt lifeless. You are the God of new beginnings, and this sunrise is proof. So I begin, right here, with this breath, this stillness, this offering of trust. I will not wait to feel ready. I will start because you are already here. Let my heart remember what my mind forgets, that I am held, I am seen, I am loved beyond measure. May this morning be the ground of renewal, the first note of a song that carries me through the hours ahead. The sky is brightening now, and I lift my eyes with it, not because I have conquered the darkness, because your light has found me once again. Lord, as the light unfolds across the horizon, I feel the tender pull of a new beginning. The air is cool, the quiet deep, and within that stillness you meet me again. The echoes of yesterday still linger somewhere in my chest, soft but insistent, reminding me of all the ways I tried to carry the world by myself. Yet even as the weight presses, I sense your invitation, a whisper that says, I do not have to hold it all anymore. I am not made to be my own savior. I am made to rest in you. Father, I bring before you the fragments of my control, the parts of me that still fight to manage what only you can mend. I confess the fear that drives me to grasp, to plan every outcome, to rush ahead as if my worth depends on keeping everything from falling apart. I have chased perfection until my heart grew tired, until joy turned into a checklist. But you, Lord, are gentle with my striving. You take the clenched fists of my spirit and open them slowly, patiently, until surrender becomes less like loss and more like freedom. This morning, I want to release it all, the anxious thoughts about the future, the questions that keep circling without answers, the regrets that replay in the quiet. I lay them down, one by one, at your feet, not because I have stopped caring, but because I trust you care more. You see the threads I cannot see. You know how every delay, every detour, and every unanswered prayer fits into a pattern that will one day make sense. So teach me how to stop wrestling against your timing. Teach me how to breathe inside your peace. God, as the sun rises higher, its warmth spills through the window, and I am reminded that surrender is not an ending, but a beginning. It is the soft soil where faith grows best, watered by trust and lightened by grace. Help me to stop demanding certainty before I believe. Help me to rest in what I know, that you are good, that you are here, and that you have never failed. Let my confidence be rooted not in what I can predict, but in who you are. I surrender my plans to you, the projects waiting for approval, the conversations that make me anxious, the expectations I have built quietly inside my head. If they are from you, let them flourish. If not, let them fade without bitterness. Give me the humility to release what hinders me, and the courage to hold fast to what truly matters. Let obedience become my goal instead of control. Let peace replace performance. There are moments, Lord, when surrender feels like silence, when I lay things down and nothing seems to happen. In those moments, remind me that hidden work is still holy work. Remind me that seeds do not sprout in daylight alone, but also beneath the unseen soil. You are shaping things I cannot yet perceive. And even in the stillness, your hand is steady. So if today feels uneventful or small, teach me to find you there. Teach me that faith is not built on excitement, but on endurance, on the quiet assurance that you are moving even when I cannot measure progress. Help me, Lord, to practice release in simple ways. When frustration stirs, let me pause before reacting. When fear rises, let me speak your name before I spiral. When the temptation to overthink grips my mind, let me remember that peace is not found in answers, but in your presence. Show me how to live open-handed in a world that worships control. Let my calm be a testimony that you are enough. Father, as I surrender my worries, I also surrender my image, the need to appear strong, composed, unbothered. I admit that I am sometimes afraid of seeming weak, yet you remind me that weakness is not failure, it is invitation. You meet me most deeply where I admit my limits. You lift me where I can no longer climb. So let this morning be my offering of honesty. Strip away the layers of pretense and leave only truth. I am yours, dependent and loved. The sunlight now fills the room, chasing away the last shadows of night. And I feel something inside me loosen. My breath slows, my shoulders lower. The war between doing and being quiets for a moment. And in that stillness I sense your peace, like a river winding through the cracks of my heart. It does not shout or demand. It simply flows. Cleansing, restoring, renewing. This peace is not fragile. It does not depend on everything going right. It comes from you, the steady center of all things. So today, Lord, I will walk in surrender not as someone defeated, but as someone delivered. I will choose to trust you in every interruption, to yield in every uncertainty, to wait without resentment. Let my letting go become an act of worship. Let my silence speak faith louder than my words. And when evening comes, may I look back and see that every moment I released became a space for you to fill. Every burden I set down became a blessing in disguise. Here in the golden hush of morning, I choose surrender, not because I understand everything, but because I trust the one who does. I lift my open hands into the light, not as a sign of despair, but as a sign of freedom. The world will turn, the hours will unfold, and I will keep releasing them into your care. Let your will move through this day like the sun across the sky, steady, faithful, and full of quiet power that makes all things new. Father, the air feels alive this morning, as if creation itself is exhaling a quiet hallelujah. The trees outside stir gently, their leaves shimmering in the light, and something within me longs to move in that same rhythm, to breathe as they do. Unforced, in harmony with what you have made. The surrender of yesterday still lingers in my chest, tender but freeing, and now I find myself reaching for the breath that gives it life. You are that breath, the unseen wind that turns surrender into strength. Lord, sometimes I forget how near you are. I go through days filled with motion, but lacking meaning. Speaking words without depth, hearing noise without music. Yet even in those moments, you never leave. You hover close, patient as dawn, waiting for me to notice the pulse of your spirit, whispering through ordinary things the rise of my lungs, the warmth of light on my hands, the still rhythm between thoughts. Today, I want to be aware again. I want to feel your presence not as an idea, but as atmosphere, the very air sustaining me. Let your spirit move through me, like wind through open fields. Sweep away the residue of fear, the dust of old regrets, the heaviness that dulls my senses. Where anxiety has tightened my chest, let your peace loosen it. Where I have breathed shallow out of habit or hurry, teach me to inhale grace deeply and exhale everything that no longer belongs. Each breath take is a silent confession that I am dependent, that I am carried, that life itself is a gift renewed with every inhale. God, I invite you to fill the spaces within me that have gone dry. Pour your wisdom into my restless mind. Pour your compassion into my brittle patience. Pour your courage into my hesitations. Let the sound of your spirit drown out the static that crowds my thoughts. Speak softly, yet unmistakably, until I learn to recognize your tone, even in the smallest silence. I do not ask for thunder. I ask for presence, for that quiet certainty that I am not walking alone. You are the comforter who steadies trembling hearts, the counselor who leads without confusion, the friend who knows when to speak and when to simply stay. I welcome you into every hidden corner, the parts of me I try to manage on my own. The pieces I think are too small for your attention. Breathe into those spaces and let your life expand where I have settled for emptiness. Remind me that holiness is not always found in great moments, but often in the gentle inhale of awareness, the sacred pause before a decision, the whispered prayer before words leave my mouth. This morning, let your spirit be my teacher. Show me what to hold and what to release, what to pursue and what to let rest. When I face choices that seem tangled or unclear, give me discernment beyond logic, wisdom that comes wrapped in peace. And if I stray from that peace, let it tug gently at me until I return. Do not let me confuse distraction for direction. Let my steps be guided not by pressure but by purpose. Father, let your spirit be my strength where willpower fails. When I meet resistance within myself or the world around, remind me that endurance does not come from striving but from abiding. Teach me to stay connected to you the way a branch abides in the vine, drawing quiet strength from an unseen source. Let patience take root deeper than frustration, and joy rise higher than circumstance. Make my heart resilient not through hardness, but through hope. As I move into this day, let your spirit shape my words. Let kindness color my tone. Even when I am tired, let gentleness mark my presence in every conversation. If conflict comes, help me to breathe before I speak, to let wisdom filter through every response. May the same breath that fills me now carry peace into the lives I touch. Let my presence bring calm, not because I am calm by nature, but because you are peace within me. And when I am quiet again, when the noise of the day threatens to drown out your whisper, draw me back to this breath, to this simple rhythm of being with you. Let prayer not be confined to these early hours, but echo through every moment I remember to breathe, even in crowded places. Let me find the sanctuary of your nearness, even in weariness. Let the wind of your spirit remind me that I am sustained, renewed, and never alone. The morning deepens, and sunlight spills across the floor like a slow river of gold. It touches everything without asking permission, and I realize that is how your spirit moves too quietly, completely, transforming ordinary space into holy ground. I want to walk in that awareness all day long. I want to see through eyes washed in light, to hear through ears tuned to your frequency, to live as one who breathes heaven's air even on earth. So I open my heart wider. Lord, I open it to direction, to correction, to comfort, to whatever you wish to do in me today. Let your breath steady my pulse, clear my vision, and awaken me fully to your presence. Where my own strength fades, let yours rise. Where my plans falter, let your spirit lead. This day is yours, and I am too. With every breath, I will remember you are here. You are life. You are the gentle wind that turns surrender into power and ordinary hours into holy ground. God, the morning light has now grown stronger, and with it comes a stillness that feels almost sacred. The gentle stirring of your spirit that I felt before has now settled deep inside me, quiet yet certain, like the steady rhythm of a heartbeat that does not need to prove its strength. The world beyond my window begins to move, the hum of engines, the sound of footsteps, the small signs of life awakening. But beneath that noise, I sense another rhythm. Yours, it is constant, unbroken, faithful. It does not waver with the day's demands or the shifting moods of my heart. It remains. Father, I think of how often I chase things that do not last, temporary affirmations, passing comfort, fleeting success. They shine for a moment, then fade, leaving behind the ache of restlessness. But you are different. Your presence is not a spark that flickers. It is a flame that endures through every wind. Your promises are not words written in sand. They are carved upon eternal stone. I can build upon them without fear of collapse. When I look back, I see how you have never failed me. Not once. Even in seasons when I thought you were silent, you were working, quietly fortifying the places in me that would one day need to stand. Lord, help me to live anchored in that truth today. Let your faithfulness be my fortress, the stronghold I return to when uncertainty shakes the ground beneath me. When worry begins to whisper its half-truths, remind me that your word is more enduring than fear. When disappointment tries to settle in my chest, remind me that what feels like delay may only be your timing rearranging the path for something greater. When loneliness comes to visit, let me find comfort not in distractions, but in the warmth of knowing that you are here, always near, always steady. You are the same yesterday, today, and forever. The same God who led me through darker mornings stands with me in this bright one. Your consistency is not dull. It is my oxygen. It allows me to rest without suspicion, to trust without evidence, to stand without trembling. And yet, even with that assurance, I sometimes forget. I drift toward doubt, imagining that your love might change if I falter. But you, Lord, are not like me. You do not measure affection by performance or patience by success. You are constant because constancy is your nature. Teach me to draw strength from that steadiness. Let my confidence be rooted not in my progress, but in your permanence. When I am tempted to prove my worth, remind me that my worth was already proven at the cross. When I am tempted to retreat in fear, remind me that your protection is not fragile. It does not depend on my vigilance. It depends on your sovereignty. I am covered not by chance, but by covenant. This morning, I picture your faithfulness as a vast fortress standing on a hill. Its gates are wide, its walls unshakable, its foundation deep. I step inside not as a guest, but as a child who belongs there. Within its walls, the noise of fear fades, the sting of shame weakens, and the wind of accusation loses its voice. There, I can breathe again. There, I remember who I am, not defined by my mistakes, but by your mercy. Let that fortress travel with me today, not as a place I must run to, but as a truth I carry within. Let your faithfulness guard my mind when anxiety prowls at the edges. Let it stand between me and despair when hope seems too far. Let it cover me when I am weary and surround me when I am strong, so that neither pride nor fear can steal the peace you have built inside me. God, I ask that this awareness of your constancy transform the way I move through the day. Let my reactions be slower, my compassion deeper, my patience wider, because I am grounded in something unshakable. I do not have to rush when I believe that your timing is perfect. I do not have to grasp when I know that your provision is enough. I do not have to fear when I remember that your presence does not withdraw. Help me to see the world through the lens of your steadiness. When I look at others, remind me that your faithfulness to them is as sure as it is to me. Teach me to speak words that build, not break, to mirror the constancy of your love in the way I show up for people. And when the inevitable imperfections of life appear, disappointment, conflict, misunderstanding, let my response reflect not panic but peace, not anger but grace. For faithfulness is not just something you show. It is something you invite me to become. I want to live today as a reflection of your reliability. Let my promises be kept, my words be true, my actions be steady even in the unseen. May my character echo the quiet dependability of yours. Where I cannot yet embody it fully, let your spirit strengthen me. Let my integrity grow like a tree planted beside the waters of your truth roots deep. Leaves unwavering, fruit in season. And as this day unfolds, Father, remind me again and again that you are here, not as an idea, not as a distant presence, but as a living fortress surrounding every part of me. When doubt tries to find a doorway, let it meet your truth instead. When exhaustion knocks, let it be greeted by your endurance. When fear crouches at dusk, let it be turned away by the light that never fades. The sun now shines fully, washing the streets in brightness. And yet I know there will be shadows later, but even the shadows only exist because of the light. So I will walk unafraid, covered by your faithfulness, encircled by grace. My heart will not be ruled by what changes, but anchored in what cannot. And if storms come, I will not run from them. I will stand beneath the shelter of your unbroken promise, knowing that your love does not shake, your truth does not crumble, and your faithfulness endures through every sunrise to come. Lord, as the morning deepens and the noise of the world rises, I can already feel the pull of distraction waiting for me. The stillness I found beneath your faithfulness feels precious, but fragile, easily stolen by the demands that will soon arrive. I know how quickly peace can slip away when the world begins to press in. So before I step fully into this day, I ask you to clothe me, to cover me, to prepare me for the unseen battles that unfold in ordinary hours. The light outside may be gentle, but I know that not every struggle is visible. Some wars begin quietly, in the heart, in the mind, in the places no one sees. And for those, I need your strength. Father, I have learned that the fiercest attacks are often silent. They come in whispers of doubt, in the slow erosion of confidence, in the subtle temptation to live without awareness of you. They do not always announce themselves, yet they aim to weaken faith one small moment at a time. But you, God, have not left me defenseless. You have given me the armor of your truth, forged not in fear, but in love. It does not weigh me down. It lifts me up. It reminds me that I am not defined by what I face, but by the one who stands with me. So today, Lord, help me to put on that armor with intention. Fasten the belt of truth around my heart, so that I do not mistake lies for logic or confusion for clarity. Let your truth hold me together when everything else feels uncertain. Let it keep me honest in thought, word, and action. May it remind me that integrity is not optional, is the quiet language of those who walk closely with you. When the world bends its truth to fit convenience, let me stand straight, not with pride, but with conviction born from your word. Place upon me the breastplate of righteousness, not my own, but yours. Guard my heart from the subtle poisons of resentment, pride, and self-righteousness. Protect the tender places where love grows, so that bitterness cannot root there. Teach me to forgive quickly, to release grudges before they harden. Let righteousness not be a performance, but a posture, one that leans toward mercy, that listens before it judges, that chooses compassion over coldness. God, help me to lace up the shoes of peace as I step into this world. Let them guide my walk through busy streets, through crowded rooms, through moments that test patience. May every step I take leave the imprint of calm instead of chaos. Let me be someone who carries peace rather than merely wishing for it. Someone who responds gently even when provoked. If I walk into conflict, let me bring balance, not heat. If I meet despair, let me speak hope without forcing it. Let peace be the rhythm of my footsteps. Lord, place in my hands the shield of faith, the kind that moves with me and absorbs every fiery dart of doubt. There will be words today that could wound, news that could unsettle, thoughts that could divide. Let faith rise like a living wall between me and despair. Let it remind me that no weapon formed against me will prevail, because you are greater than the fear that fuels them. Let faith not be distant theory, but daily practice the choice to believe even when emotion trembles, the decision to trust when outcomes remain unseen. And upon my head, I ask for the helmet of salvation. Guard my thoughts, Lord, from the endless noise that tries to shape what I believe about myself. Protect me from the looping narratives that whisper inadequacy, that replay old failures as if they define me. Cover my mind with the assurance that I belong to you. Let that truth quiet the inner critic, silence the enemy's voice, and keep my imagination anchored in grace. Renew my thinking so that every idea, every plan, every response is filtered through redemption and not regret. Finally, place within my grasp the sword of the Spirit, your word, alive within me. Let it not remain distant or memorized, but active and sharp, cutting through deception, dividing truth from falsehood. Let it strengthen my spirit when weariness sets in, reminding me that every promise you have spoken still stands. Let your word dwell richly, not as a weapon to wound others, but as light that reveals the path forward when shadows grow thick. Father, teach me to wear this armor not as a soldier desperate for war, but as a child confident in love. Let each piece remind me that you fight for me, that victory is not about conquering people or circumstances, but about standing firm in grace. I do not battle against flesh and blood, but against fear, pride, distraction, and despair, the invisible things that pull me away from peace. And in every unseen struggle, I will remember that your power is not loud, but lasting. There will be moments today when I forget, when I try to fight with my own words, my own willpower, my own logic. In those moments, remind me to stop striving and simply stand. Standing does not mean inaction. It means trust. It means believing that even when I do not move, you are moving. It means holding the ground of faith while you handle what I cannot see. Let that posture become my strength, calm, unshaken, and covered in your presence. God, help me to carry this armor with humility. Let it not separate me from others, but equip me to love them better. Let truth make me gentle, righteousness make me kind, peace make me approachable, and faith make me brave. Let salvation make me secure enough to listen, and your word make me wise enough to stay silent when silence serves love. The world outside now glimmers brighter, and I feel ready not because the day promises ease, but because you promise endurance. The armor I wear is invisible, but real, formed of everything you are: truth, peace, righteousness, faith, salvation, and the living word that breathes through all creation. As I step forward into this day, I will walk protected yet open, strong yet tender, grounded yet free. For though battles may come, none will define me more than this simple truth: you are with me, and that is enough to stand. Father, As I sit here, wrapped in the quiet breath of morning, I feel the weight of yesterday slowly lifting. The armor you gave me still rests around my spirit steady, unseen, strong, and I sense that now you are inviting me to go deeper, to look not only outward toward the battles I face, but inward toward the weather of my own soul. For there are storms that rise within, clouds that form without warning, winds that bend my heart toward worry or sadness. And though they are invisible to others, they are real. You see them, Lord, even before I speak them aloud. God, you know how the heart can ache quietly. You see the fatigue that does not show on the face, the tension that lingers long after the words have passed, the memories that echo when silence grows too long. I confess that I often try to hide these things, pretending that time will heal what I refuse to name. But you are not afraid of my hidden pain. You do not rush me or shame me for feeling weak. Instead, you meet me in those fragile spaces where I cannot pretend. You reach gently into the corners of my life and whisper, "Let me touch this, too." So I bring before you every fracture I have carried too long, the disappointments I buried under work, the loneliness I disguised as independence, the fear that disguises itself as control. Heal me, Lord, in the places I do not even understand. Teach me to stop calling numbness peace. Teach me that healing is not forgetting, but being restored in the presence of love. I want to feel whole again, not perfect, but present, alive, unafraid to feel deeply, because you are in every feeling with me. Father, let your presence move through me like warm sunlight after rain, drying what sorrow has soaked. Let it seep into every layer, mind, body, and spirit. Touch the thoughts that spiral, the tension that settles in my chest, the quiet exhaustion that no sleep seems to cure. Let your peace not only still my mind, but renew my body. Let each breath I take be medicine. Let rest no longer feel like guilt, but like grace. When I think of healing, I am reminded that you work slowly, the way spring unfolds from the cold ground. Nothing forced, nothing hurried, yet every day something new grows unseen. Do the same within me, Lord. Let patience become part of my healing. When I do not see change right away, remind me that wholeness often begins beneath the surface. You are not simply fixing what is broken. You are reshaping what it means to live in freedom. God, help me forgive the versions of myself that could not yet heal. The one who kept quiet when she should have spoken. The one who believed endurance meant ignoring pain. The one who thought asking for help was weakness. Teach me to love those versions as you do with tenderness, not contempt, for even then you were near. Even when I was stumbling through confusion, your hand was guiding me, steadying me, protecting me from collapsing under my own striving. Let me see my past self through your eyes, still beloved, still worth healing. If there are relationships that carry wounds, bring them into your light. Where misunderstanding has created distance, build a bridge of humility. Where words have left scars, let grace speak softer but stronger. Where bitterness has taken root, pull it out gently and plant compassion in its place. I do not ask to forget, Lord, but to remember differently, to look back and see mercy woven through pain, lessons hidden inside loss. Let every memory that once hurt become a reminder that nothing is wasted in your hands. Father, I also bring before you the unspoken griefs, the ones I have never known how to explain. The quiet disappointments, the missed opportunities, the dreams that faded before they began. They visit sometimes in flashes, in scents, in songs. When they do, let them not sting as reminders of what is gone, but as proof that I have loved and lived deeply. Heal me from the belief that joy and sorrow cannot coexist. Show me that healing does not erase the past, but redeems it. I ask, Lord, that you also touch the body you gave me, the aches I dismiss, the fatigue I ignore, the ways I forget that it, too, is sacred. Teach me to honor this frame that carries me through each day. Let me rest when I need to, move when I can, nourish it as an act of gratitude. Let health be more than the absence of pain. Let it be the alignment of soul and body working together in peace. And when my emotions rise again, when sadness or anger or fear appear without invitation, help me to welcome them as signals, not enemies. Help me to pause long enough to ask what they are trying to tell me. Maybe sadness is asking for gentleness, anger for truth, fear for reassurance. Let me listen to each one with you beside me, translating them into wisdom instead of shame. For you, Lord, are not frightened by human emotion. You designed it as a language through which we learn to depend on you. As I breathe in this moment, I sense the faint stirring of calm, a peace that does not erase pain, but makes it bearable. It feels like standing after rain. When the air is cool and new, I realize that healing rarely happens in a single instant. It unfolds in 1,000 small choices to trust, to release, to begin again. So I will begin again now. In this morning light, I will believe that wholeness is possible, even if I cannot yet see its shape. Let your presence be the steady rhythm that regulates the inner weather of my soul when storms return. Let your peace be the anchor that keeps me from drifting when the skies clear. Let gratitude rise naturally, and in every season, whether joy or sorrow, clarity or confusion, teach me to rest in the truth that you are both healer and haven, both the calm and the strength to face the wind. Lord, let this be the morning I stop running from what hurts and start trusting you to heal it. Let this be the moment I accept that restoration is not just something you do, it is who you are. You do not rush my healing because you love me too deeply to leave anything untouched. And as sunlight continues to spread across the earth, so may your restoring presence move through every part of me, turning my inner weather from storm to peace, from heaviness to hope, from silence to the gentle song of being made whole again. Lord, the morning has grown warmer, and the light that once felt soft now stretches across the earth with a fiercer glow. The beauty of it reminds me that even light can be intense, and that peace does not always mean the absence of struggle. Healing brings clarity, and with clarity, I see both my blessings and my battles more clearly than before. You have mended pieces of my heart, but now I must learn to walk forward carrying that wholeness into a world that still trembles with uncertainty. And so, Father, I find myself asking for courage, the kind that does not shout, but simply keeps moving. There are valleys, Lord, that no one chooses to enter. Seasons where comfort fades and shadows grow long, where the air feels thick and prayer feels distant. I have walked through some of those places, and though I tried to hurry through them, I see now that they held their own kind of mercy, because it was there, in the quiet H of the valley, that I discovered you were closest. You did not lift me out right away. You walked beside me, teaching me to see light not just as something at the end, but something that can live even in the middle of darkness. Father, help me to remember that every valley has purpose. You use even the rough ground to teach balance, even the low places to grow roots. When fear begins to rise again, remind me that shadows are not evidence of your absence. They are proof of a light that still exists somewhere nearby. When doubt whispers that I will not make it through this part of the journey, remind me that you are not watching from afar. You are walking beside me, step by step, holding my hand when I stumble, steadying my heart when the path narrows. I do not ask you to remove every hardship. I ask for strength to face them with grace. When pain comes, let it carve deeper compassion. When disappointment visits, let it grow humility. When delay stretches longer than I hoped, let patience become the quiet miracle that sustains me. Teach me to carry peace not as a fragile emotion, but as an unbreakable truth that even here, even now, I am not forsaken. Lord, you are the shepherd who guides through valleys, not around them. You do not lead me by shortcuts or avoid the terrain that will shape my soul. So even when the ground feels uneven and the journey long, help me trust that each step is part of the story you are writing. Remind me that valleys are not forever, they are passages. They lead somewhere. They teach me endurance. They prepare me for the mountaintops, where perspective returns. But even when I reach those heights, let me never forget what I learned in the shadows, that dependence on you is the purest form of freedom. Father, when loneliness tries to echo through these quiet spaces, fill them instead with your voice. When the road feels empty, let me hear the soft rhythm of your steps beside mine. Let me notice the small evidences of grace that appear even here, the kindness of a stranger, the beauty of the morning light through trees, the steady breath that proves I am still sustained. Let gratitude become the bridge that carries me across fear. Let faith become the lamp that keeps me moving, even when I see only one step ahead. God, teach me to stop measuring my progress by how far I have come and start seeing it in how deeply I trust you. Sometimes the valley is not punishment, but preparation. Sometimes it is the training ground where strength is forged quietly, away from applause, beneath the surface of survival. Let me not despise these seasons. Let me see them as sacred classrooms where the lessons are written not in words, but in endurance, surrender, and hope that refuses to die. If my heart feels heavy today, let me remember that you are gentle with heaviness. You never demand that I rush my healing or minimize my pain. You simply ask that I keep walking. So here I am, taking another step, not because I have it all together, but because I believe you are in the step itself. You are the steady hand guiding me through terrain I do not understand. You are the whisper that keeps me moving when fear says stop. As I walk, help me notice the quiet miracles. The strength to keep going when I thought I could not. The peace that returns unexpectedly. The small glimpses of beauty that remind me I am not lost. Let every heartbeat become a reminder that you are sustaining me, that your presence is the rhythm carrying me forward. Even when the valley stretches far, even when I cannot yet see its end, I choose to trust the one who knows every curve of the path. Lord, let this valley refine me, not define me. Let it shape my character, not steal my joy. Let me come out of it softer, not harder, wiser, not bitter. Let what feels like loss become soil for something greater, to grow. For every tear that falls here, plant a seed of understanding. For every silence that aches, plant a song waiting to bloom. I may not yet hear the melody, but I believe it is forming beneath the weight of this quiet ground. The sunlight is climbing now, reaching into the valley's corners, painting even the rocks with gold. And I realize that even here, light still finds a way. It may come slowly, but it comes faithfully, just as you do. So I will keep walking, Lord, not in fear, but in faith, not counting the distance left, but cherishing the steps already taken. You are here, even in the low places, and that is enough. The valley is not my end. It is the road where your presence becomes real, where faith turns from words into breath, and where every step forward is itself a quiet miracle. Father, the valley behind me still lingers in memory, but the air feels lighter now. The morning carries a quiet hum, a rhythm that seems to lift my spirit from the heaviness of what was into the possibility of what could be. I can almost feel it, the subtle shift from survival to renewal, from endurance to expectation. You have walked with me through the shadows, and now you are teaching me to rise again, not in haste, but in hope. The ground beneath me is still uneven, yet something inside me dares to stretch toward the light. That is hope's nature. It reaches, even when reason tells it not to. Lord, hope feels like breath after holding it too long. It does not arrive with noise or spectacle. It comes softly, like a breeze through weary lungs. It whispers that the story is not over, that endings can become beginnings when your hands hold the pen. I have tried to manufacture hope before, forcing optimism through gritted teeth, but that kind of hope fades with the first gust of disappointment. What you give is different. It is not denial of pain, it is the quiet courage to believe that pain is not the whole truth. It is the trust that beneath everything uncertain, your goodness remains the unshaken ground. God, help me to recognize hope not as a feeling to chase, but as a presence to receive. Let me find it in the smallest signs, the way light falls on the leaves, the sound of laughter returning after sorrow, the steady beat of my own heart still choosing to go on. Let me see hope as a language you speak fluently, one that my soul understands even when my mind doubts. When fear tries to drown it out, remind me that faith and hope are not separate. They are threads of the same fabric, woven together by love. Father, I want to live as someone who carries hope wherever I go. Let it soften my tone when I speak, steady my eyes when I look at others, and guide my steps when I walk into uncertain places. Let me become fluent in encouragement, fluent in joy, fluent in the quiet assurance that you are not finished yet. The world needs this kind of hope, not the shallow kind that depends on outcomes, but the deep kind that roots itself in who you are. When people cross my path burdened by despair, let them feel lifted simply, because I carry the atmosphere of belief. Let me be a vessel that pours out hope the way dawn spills light. There are days, Lord, when hope feels far away, when exhaustion dulls my vision and doubt grows louder than truth. On those days, remind me to look up. Even clouds have edges lit by light. Even night has stars stitched into its fabric. Even silence carries the echo of your promises. When my hands hang limp, lift them gently. When my heart forgets to reach, remind it of every sunrise you have ever painted after storms. You have never allowed darkness to be final. You have never once left the earth without dawn. Let that memory become the pulse of my confidence. Hope, Lord, is not about pretending. It is about trusting that your timing will not fail. It is believing that restoration can emerge from the very soil of ruin. Teach me to wait with expectation, not resignation. Let me see waiting not as punishment, but as preparation, the place where you strengthen what patience has planted. Let me trust that what feels delayed is only being developed. Let me find joy in the waiting, knowing that you work in the unseen, shaping outcomes I could not imagine if I tried. Sometimes, Father, hope looks like small obedience, showing up to love again, to give again, to try again. It is quiet persistence, the willingness to believe that faithfulness is never wasted, even when results seem invisible. So help me rise today in that spirit. Let me wake not with dread, but with curiosity for what you will unfold. Let me meet this day with the expectation that something sacred hides even ordinary hours. Let me live with open hands, ready to receive whatever form your goodness chooses to take. And when my own hope flickers, send reminders through unexpected places, a kind word, a moment of laughter, a glimpse of beauty that feels too precise to be coincidence. Help me recognize those moments as you, breaking through the noise to say, I am still here. Let gratitude keep my hope alive, for gratitude and hope walk hand in hand. The more I thank you for what is, the more I trust you for what will be. Let me never take lightly the miracle of simply waking to another sunrise. God, I ask you to renew my imagination today. Let hope paint possibilities where fear once drew boundaries. Let it expand the way I see people, the way I see myself, the way I see the future. When cynicism tries to shrink my world, let your spirit breathe creativity into my heart, again the belief that good can still emerge, that healing can still happen, that forgiveness can still rebuild what was broken. Let hope make me daring again, not reckless, but willing to dream without fear of disappointment. I know that the path ahead will not always be easy, but I also know it will not always be dark. You are the God of rising sun, rising hearts, rising courage. You bring dawn to every night, renewal to every barren place, life to every dry bone. So even if the day ahead carries unknowns, I will walk into it not with trembling but with trust, for hope does not promise that I will never face trouble. It promises that trouble will never have the final word. The wind outside stirs again. brushing against the trees, and I feel something within me mirror it, a movement, a lifting, a quiet defiance of despair. Hope is not a destination, Lord. It is the wind beneath faith's wings. It is what keeps me rising when gravity tries to pull me back into fear. And as the morning brightens fully, I feel ready, not because I have all the answers, but because I have you. Father, let me carry this lightness into the hours ahead. Let me move with purpose, with joy, with eyes wide open to wonder. Let my life today be a living prayer of hope, steady, gentle, and strong. And if the evening finds me weary again, may I still be able to whisper one truth with certainty, that even when I falter, hope does not die, because it is rooted in the one who never changes. Lord, as the wind of hope still stirs softly around me, I feel you calling me into a deeper calm, a sacred pause within the rhythm of the day. The sunlight that once danced with movement now lingers quietly on the walls, and I realize that not every season of faith requires motion. Some require stillness. Some require the courage to stop striving and simply rest in what already is. It is here, in this hush, that I begin to understand how peace is not the absence of life as noise, but the awareness of your presence within it. Father, I have spent so much of my life chasing meaning through doing the next task, the next conversation, the next prayer even. I have often mistaken stillness for idleness, silence for emptiness. Yet you remind me that in stillness, the heart remembers its source. It learns again how to hear. In the quiet, distractions lose their grip and truth begins to rise, clear and steady, like morning mist lifting over a calm river. You speak differently here, no thunder, no lightning, only the steady pulse of peace that whispers, "Be still, and know that I am God." God, help me to dwell in that knowing. Teach me how to rest without guilt, how to pause without fear of falling behind. The world moves fast, and sometimes I let its rhythm replace yours. I scroll, I rush, I plan, I fill the silence because silence feels too honest. But you are not found in noise or chaos. You are found in the steady space between breaths. You do not need my performance. You desire my presence. So this morning, I stop striving to earn what you freely give. I rest not as escape, but as worship. Let this stillness be the soil where my soul takes root again. When anxiety tries to pull me into tomorrow, anchor me in now. When the mind spins stories of what might go wrong, remind me that grace is only given in this moment, not the next. You are not waiting for me in the future. You are here, in the quiet air around me, in the slow rhythm of breathing, in the unseen steadiness of my heart. Everything I need for this moment is already provided. Father, show me how to find your voice within stillness. Sometimes it sounds like comfort. Sometimes it sounds like conviction. Sometimes it says nothing at all, but holds me like a steady hand. In a world that confuses noise for power, help me to rediscover the holy authority of silence. Teach me that it is not empty, it is full of you. When I cannot find the words to pray, let silence become prayer enough. Let my stillness speak faith louder than my language ever could. Lord, There is a kind of strength that only stillness can build, the kind that does not need to prove, that does not depend on momentum, that can stand quietly while others rush. It is not weakness to be still. It is confidence that the world does not fall apart when I stop trying to hold it together. You are holding it. You always have been. So I loosen my grip. I let my shoulders fall. I let my thoughts rest like leaves settling onto calm water. And in that surrender, I find something unbreakable. Peace that does not depend on circumstance, only on you. God, let this peace shape the way I move today. Let it slow my speech so my words are thoughtful. Let it calm my reactions so grace can find its way through me. Let it soften my gaze so I see people as you do, not as interruptions but as reminders that every soul carries weight. Every life holds value. Let me bring stillness into every room. I enter a steady spirit that others can lean on. A presence that feels like exhale after a long day of holding breath. When I am tempted to rush ahead, remind me that hurry often hides fear, the fear of missing out, of being unseen, of not doing enough. But you have never asked me to hurry. You have asked me to trust, and trust cannot grow in chaos. It grows in calm. It grows when I stop trying to run ahead of your timing. So I will walk slowly today. I will breathe deeply. I will notice the sky, the light, the quiet hum of life around me. For every detail is a testimony that you are still sustaining creation. Moment by moment, heartbeat by heartbeat. Father, when stillness feels uncomfortable, help me to see it as invitation. The silence is not a void to fill, it is a space where you wait for me to listen. And in that listening, I begin to hear what truly matters. The world shouts of success and noise, but you whisper of contentment and purpose. The difference between the two is measured not in sound, but in peace. Teach me to choose the quieter voice, the one that leads home. As I linger here in this calm, I feel strength rising, not loud, not dramatic, but sure. It is the strength that comes from rest, from trust, from the unhurried rhythm of your grace. It reminds me that I do not need to force what is meant to unfold. It tells me that patience is power, that stillness is strength dressed in humility. And in this quiet morning light, I finally understand that peace is not found by escaping life, but by entering it fully with you at the center, steady and unchanging. The calm within every storm. So, Lord, let stillness become my rhythm today. Let it hum beneath my laughter, anchor my choices, and soften my spirit. Let it remind me that your presence is not something I must chase, is the air I breathe. The silence between thoughts, the heartbeat beneath all things. And as this stillness deepens, may it not make me passive but purposeful, not distant but present, not fearful but free. For in quietness and trust, you give me the strength to face the day not through striving, but through being still and knowing that you are enough. Father, as the stillness settles deeper into my soul, I begin to sense another quiet, stirring the gentle current of gratitude flowing beneath everything. It moves softly, yet its strength is undeniable. Gratitude is not loud or dramatic. It does not demand attention. It simply rises like a river after rain, carrying pieces of my life, both joy and sorrow, toward your heart. It gathers the moments I once overlooked, the blessings I once brushed past, and it brings them together in one sacred truth. Everything I have and everything I am comes from you, Lord. I have spent many mornings asking you for strength, for healing, for guidance. Today, I simply want to thank you. Thank you for the breath that fills my lungs, for the sunrise that paints the world with mercy, for the gift of another chance to begin again. Thank you for the days that have shaped me, even the ones that hurt. Thank you for the people who love me imperfectly, but sincerely. Thank you for the unseen protections, the quiet rescues, the moments when grace covered what I could not fix. Gratitude changes how I see everything. It turns survival into praise, and ordinary minutes into miracles. God, teach me to make gratitude my posture, not just my reaction. I do not want to wait until life feels easy to be thankful. I want to learn to see goodness even when the road wins through difficulty. Help me to recognize your fingerprints in the small, simple details. The laughter that lingers after tears, the friend who reaches out at just the right time, the peace that appears in the middle of a storm. Let gratitude not be dependent on outcome, but anchored in truth that you are always good, even when circumstances are not. Father, let gratitude reshape the way I remember. When I look back, help me to see not just the pain, but the purpose. When I recall seasons of loss, let me also recall the lessons they carried. When I think of the valleys I have walked through, let me remember the strength you built there. Gratitude transforms memory. It softens the edges of regret and turns them into reminders of grace. Let me never forget how often you met me in places I thought were empty, how you filled them with meaning when I thought they were wasted. There are blessings, Lord, that arrive quietly, wrapped in simplicity. They do not glitter or announce themselves, but they sustain me just the same. The kindness of a stranger, the warmth of morning coffee, the sound of rain against the roof when the world feels heavy. These are your daily mercies, subtle yet constant, gentle yet powerful. Let me notice them. Let me live aware that even the smallest good thing is evidence of your love woven into my ordinary. God, I confess there are times when gratitude feels hard, when loss overshadows beauty, when worry steals my focus, when weariness dulls my awareness. But even then, I want to choose thanks, because gratitude is not the denial of pain. It is the declaration that pain will not define me. It is the refusal to let fear become my language. It is the quiet rebellion that says, even here, I will find reason to praise. Let me live that way with eyes that search for grace, even when tears blur my vision. Father, gratitude is not just a feeling. It is an action. It changes how I move through the world. It turns frustration into patience, complaint into compassion, scarcity into generosity. When I am thankful, I stop comparing and start celebrating. When I am thankful, I stop grasping and start giving. Gratitude frees me from the illusion that I am missing something. It reminds me that I already have enough because you are enough. Let this truth sink deep until contentment becomes my resting place. Lord, I want gratitude to shape my relationships too. Help me to speak appreciation more often than correction. Help me to see the beauty in others before I see their flaws. Help me to thank rather than expect, to listen rather than demand. When I recognize grace in others, it multiplies in me. Let my words today build bridges instead of walls. Let my presence remind people that joy can be found even in the simplest gestures: a smile, a moment of kindness, a shared silence filled with peace. God, let this gratitude spill over into how I serve. Let it not stay locked in thought, but move through my hands and actions. Let it be seen in how I work, how I care, how I forgive. Gratitude is the evidence of love understood. And love, once understood, must be given away. Teach me to give freely, because I have received freely. To share hope, because I have been filled with it. To extend mercy, because you never withhold it from me. As I sit in this growing light, I realize that gratitude changes the atmosphere. It softens the air, brightens the mind, steadies the heart. It reminds me that even when I have little, I possess abundance. For peace cannot be measured by possessions, only by presence. The more I thank you, the more I see you in everything, everywhere, always near. Gratitude becomes a bridge between heaven and earth, connecting my small life to your vast love. Father, let this day be marked by thankfulness that flows like a river through everything I do. Let it wash away bitterness, dissolve envy, and cleanse every trace of complaint. Let it irrigate my thoughts with joy, my words with kindness, my steps with purpose. Let it teach me to live open-handed, to receive what comes, release what goes, and rejoice in what remains. And when the sun sets tonight, I want my heart to be as full as this morning light, overflowing with quiet wonder that I got to live another day, breathe another breath, love another soul, and see your goodness written across even the smallest parts of my story. For every heartbeat, every moment, every mercy that carries me, I whisper the words my soul was made to say. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for it all, Lord. The river of gratitude still runs quietly through my heart as the day unfolds. But now I sense you drawing me towards something deeper, to the steady ground beneath it, the place where gratitude turns into trust. For thankfulness is the beginning of faith, but trust is where faith grows roots. It is easy to say thank you when blessings are clear. Harder when the path wins through uncertainty. Yet, Father, I know that you do not ask me to understand every turn, only to keep walking, believing that even the unseen is held within your design. Father, trust has always been the tender lesson my soul resists. I am quick to celebrate your goodness when life feels gentle. Yet when shadows stretch long and outcomes blur, my heart trembles between surrender and control. I try to hold on to what I cannot fix, as if fear could serve as protection. But you whisper to let go, to place the weight I carry into hands far stronger than mine. And though that letting go feels like falling, I remember that it is falling into you. The ground of grace is always beneath me, even when my faith feels thin. God, help me to trust you not only with my hopes, but with my hesitations. Teach me to believe that your silence is not absence, but timing. When answers delay, let me remember that waiting is not wasted. It is the field where patience blooms and strength matures. Every answered prayer is not rejection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is the preparation of something far greater than what I dared to ask for. Let truth settle in me until trust becomes less of a choice and more of a rhythm, steady, deep, unforced. Lord, trust is not blind, it is brave. It is choosing to see with the eyes of faith when sight fails. It is standing in the middle of chaos and still believing that you are weaving order behind the scenes. It is lifting my eyes to heaven even when tears blur my vision. Help me to live in that posture of faith, not demanding proof, but resting in promise. Let your faithfulness of yesterday remind me that you will not change today. Every sunrise proves that darkness never has the final word, and every breath reminds me that your mercy renews endlessly. Father, I often forget that trust is built not through certainty, but through relationship. You have proven yourself faithful in ways too many to count, yet I still act as though I must see the blueprint before I can rest. Forgive me for trying to manage what only you can control. Forgive me for calling worry wisdom when is really just fear in disguise. Draw me back to simplicity, the kind of trust that children have when they hold a parent's hand without asking where they are going. That kind of trust is not ignorance. It is intimacy. It says, I may not know the path, but I know who walks with me, God. When my confidence falters, remind me of the stories you have already written in my life, the closed doors that led to better ones, the disappointments that disguised direction, the losses that taught me compassion I never would have known otherwise. Each memory is a thread of your trustworthiness woven through my story. Let me trace those threads when doubt tries to unravel them. Let my past encounters with grace become anchors for present faith. Father, trust also means releasing control over people. I love believing that you care for them even more than I do. It means surrendering outcomes I cannot guarantee, and resting in the truth that your plans are not only higher but kinder. Teach me to pray for them not with desperation, but with peace. Let me intercede, not interfere. Let my love for others flow from trust in you, not fear of losing them. Where I cannot reach, you can. Where I cannot heal, you already are. Lord, trust is not passive. It is an active rest. It is leaning into you when pressure builds, breathing deeply when anxiety whispers lies, choosing to respond with peace instead of panic. It is deciding that obedience matters more than clarity, that faithfulness matters more than control. Help me to live this truth when I face decisions today. Let my yes come from confidence, not compulsion. Let my no be rooted in discernment, not fear. Teach me that trusting you also means as trusting the wisdom you have placed within me through your Spirit, God. I want my trust to grow beyond words, to become visible in how I live. Let it show in how I speak gently even when provoked, in how I wait without complaining, in how I serve without needing recognition. Let it be reflected in quiet consistency, in small choices made with integrity, in a calm heart that refuses to be swept away by panic. Let trust become my witness, a still, steady faith that others can feel even without my saying a word. When I look at creation, I see how everything around me trusts you effortlessly. The trees stand without fear of falling. The birds rise each morning without worrying whether the sky will hold them. The river flows because it knows the ocean awaits. Teach me to live like that, anchored, confident, free. You did not create me for anxiety. You created me for peace. You did not ask me to predict tomorrow. You asked me to walk with you today. Father, I know there will still be days when fear tries to find its way back in. But when it comes, let me meet it not with resistance, but with remembrance. Let me whisper the truth that steadies all storms. You are good, and you are enough. I do not have to see the whole horizon to trust the light of this moment. For as long as you are near, I am safe, even in uncertainty. And so, in the warmth of this morning light, I place it all again into your hands, the plans, the people, the paths I cannot predict. I choose not to rush ahead, but to walk beside you. I choose not to panic when I cannot see, but to believe that faith was always meant to be lived one step at a time. Let this trust be my quiet strength, my unspoken song, my steady breath in every season. For trust is not the absence of questions, but the presence of peace, and in your presence, Lord, I find both courage and rest. Father, the quiet strength of trust still lingers in my spirit, like the calm after rain. It has softened my heart and steadied my steps. Yet as the morning light deepens, I sense another invitation rising within me, a call not only to rest in faith, but to walk in guidance. Trust anchors me, but guidance moves me. You do not leave me in stillness forever. You lead me forward, shaping each step with wisdom that surpasses my understanding. Lord, how often have I rushed ahead, mistaking movement for direction? I have chased clarity more than communion, asking for maps instead of moments with you. But you are not a distant navigator. You are a companion. Your guidance does not arrive as commands shouted from afar, but as whispers born from nearness. It is a gentle pull, a quiet conviction, a light that does not blind but invites. Help me to follow that light, to lean into the unseen path, to walk not by calculation but by communion. God, I admit that I often want to know the end before I begin. I crave certainty more than courage. But you remind me that faith was never meant to be about control. It was meant to be about connection. You do not show me the entire horizon. You give me enough light for the next step. And when I take that step, another appears. It is a dance of trust and obedience, of listening and moving, pausing and believing that your timing is precise, even when it feels slow. Teach me to move with that rhythm, the rhythm of divine patience and perfect peace. Father, help me to discern your voice among the many that call my name. The world speaks loudly of urgency and self-assurance, but your voice carries a different tone, one that is calm, unwavering, sure. It does not pressure. It invites. It does not confuse. It clarifies. Let me learn the texture of that voice so intimately that I cannot mistake it. When doubt whispers, let peace be my confirmation. When fear tries to disguise itself as wisdom, let faith rise to remind me who I follow. There are moments, Lord, when your guidance feels like silence. I look for signs, for doors opening or closing, for patterns I can interpret. but all I find is stillness. In those moments, remind me that silence is not absence, it is often the space where you prepare my heart to listen differently. You are never rushed. You shape clarity not through explanations, but through relationship. Let my waiting be active, not anxious. Let my heart remain ready to recognize your leading. Even when it comes through the simplest of things, a verse remembered, a conversation that stirs peace, a thought that carries quiet conviction. God, I am learning that your guidance is not only about direction, it is about transformation. Every choice you lead me through reshapes who I am. Sometimes you guide me into challenge so that strength can grow. Sometimes you lead me into pause so that pride can rest. Sometimes you steer me toward service so that self-centeredness can dissolve. Your path is not always easy, but it is always good. Even detours become sacred when I trust they come from your hand. Father, I want to walk through this day with a listening heart. Let my plans remain flexible under your will. Let my ambitions bow to your purpose. If you redirect me, let me not resist. If you close a door, let me not stand knocking out of stubbornness. Instead, give me eyes to notice the windows you open in places I least expect. Help me to remember that guidance is not about perfection. It is about relationship. You are not grading my steps. You are walking beside me as I take them. Lord, illuminate my path today with gentleness. Let your word be the lamp that reveals what I need to see, not what I wish to control. Let your spirit be the compass that turns my heart toward what is right, even when it costs comfort. When uncertainty tries to overwhelm me, let me recall every time you have guided me before, how you turned confusion into clarity, wading into wisdom, wandering into purpose. You have never led me astray. I do not need to fear getting lost when I am held by the one who knows every road. God, sometimes your leading takes me through places that make little sense, but even there, you are forming me. You are teaching me that obedience is not blind, it is brave. It is walking through fog with the assurance that your light will not fail. When I cannot see the end, let me keep walking with kindness. Let my footsteps leave peace where they fall. Let me be so aligned with your will that others find direction simply by following the love I leave behind. And when I do falter, when I take wrong turns or hesitate at crossroads, let your mercy meet me quickly. You never abandon those who seek your way. You simply reroute, redeem, restore. There is no path too far for your grace to reach, no mistake too deep for your wisdom to rewrite. Help me to walk with humility, willing to admit when I have leaned on my own understanding instead of yours. Let repentance not be shame but realignment. The beautiful moment when I return to the road you had marked all along. Father, I thank you that your guidance does not depend on my perfection, but on your persistence. You do not give up on leading me because I stumble. You walk beside me, patient and faithful, shaping each step into something sacred. Today, I walk forward with open hands, open heart, open eyes. I do not demand certainty. I invite companionship. I do not beg for control. I choose surrender. As sunlight begins to fill the spaces around me, I feel its warmth as a reflection of your leading gentle. constant, unforced. You are the light that does not fade, the guide who never sleeps, the wisdom that never wavers. So I will move through this day not as one afraid of getting lost, but as one deeply aware that every road, every turn, every quiet moment is already known by you. Wherever your light falls, that is where I will go, trusting that each step forward, no matter how small, is leading me closer to the heart of your will. Father, as your light continues to guide my path, I begin to understand that following you is not always a revelation. It is about obedience. The beauty of your guidance lies not only in hearing, but in responding. Not only in knowing, but in doing. Yesterday's clarity means little if today's steps hesitate. So I stand here again, beneath the same morning sky, asking you to teach me the quiet strength of obedience, the kind that does not wait for perfect understanding, but moves when you whisper, "Go." Lord, obedience is not natural for a heart that has learned independence. My world rewards control, praises self-sufficiency, and celebrates the illusion that freedom is doing whatever feels right. Yet the deeper I walk with you, the more I see that true freedom is found in surrender, when I lay down my will to walk in harmony with yours. You do not command me for your gain, but for my good. Every boundary you draw protects something sacred, and every instruction you give leads to life. Teach me to see obedience not as restriction, but as alignment with purpose, as the rhythm that keeps my spirit in tune with heaven. God, sometimes obedience feels like walking into fog, where the destination is hidden, but the direction is sure. My mind wants to negotiate, to ask for signs, to understand every consequence before I take a step. But you call me into faith that moves before it knows. The cost of obedience is trust, and the reward of obedience is peace. Remind me that hesitation often breeds confusion. But obedience, even when trembling, builds confidence in your character. You have never failed me yet, and you never will. Father, I confess that I sometimes obey only halfway. I listen but delay. I agree but hold back. I surrender but still look over my shoulder. Help me to obey completely, not out of fear, but out of love. Love that believes you see farther than I do. Love that remembers you never ask without preparing the way. Let obedience be my worship today, not the songs I sing, but the choices I make. When I forgive even when pride resists, when I give though I feel small, when I stay gentle in the face of anger, those are the moments obedience turns into praise. Lord, obedience is not only in the great moments, but in the small, unseen ones. It is in the patience to listen when I want to speak, in the discipline to be kind when no one watches, in the humility to admit when I am wrong. These are the quiet places where character is shaped. Teach me to find holiness not in the extraordinary, but in the everyday faithfulness that pleases you. Let obedience become instinct and automatic yes to your prompting. A steady heart that does not argue with grace. God, when obedience requires sacrifice, help me to remember the joy that waits beyond it. Remind me that letting go is not loss when it is done for you. Sometimes you ask me to release comfort, reputation, or plans I hold dear. And though my hands tremble, I know they will never close around emptiness. Every surrender to your will makes space for something better, peace that cannot be stolen, joy that cannot be shaken, and purpose that cannot be erased. Let my obedience be an echo of trust, a living reflection of faith that believes your way is always higher. Father, give me the courage to obey even when others do not understand. Let me stand firm without bitterness, strong without arrogance. The world may call it foolishness, but faith that listens and moves according to your voice is the wisdom of heaven. Keep my motives pure. Let obedience never become performance or pride. Let it be the overflow of a heart that loves you deeply enough to say, yes, even here, even now, when I fail, help me to return quickly, not to shame but to grace, knowing that your patience with me never runs dry. Lord, I know obedience is not meant to make me heavy but holy. It lightens the spirit, because it removes the burden of self-reliance. When I walk in step with you, the path may be narrow, but it is never lonely. You walk beside me, strengthening every step. You whisper when I am unsure, steady me when I falter, and smile when I choose to trust even in uncertainty. Let my obedience be less about rule following and more about relationship listening. Responding, moving in love. God, teach me to obey with joy. Let it not be a duty weighed down by guilt, but a delight born of gratitude. I want to reach a place where obedience feels natural, because I know your heart. When you say wait, I will wait with peace. When you say move, I will step forward with courage. When you say rest, I will not feel idle but protected. The more I know you, the easier it becomes to obey not. The path grows simpler, but because love makes it sweeter. Father, let obedience transform me from the inside out. Let it shape the way I think, the way I speak, the way I love. Let it soften the edges of my pride and strengthen the foundation of my faith. Let it remind me that every act of obedience, no matter how small, carries eternal weight. It ripples through unseen places, touching lives and moments I may never know. Obedience is not about being perfect. It is about being willing. And willingness, when rooted in love, can move mountains as the day unfolds. I feel your call again, not as a command shouted from the heavens, but as a gentle invitation. Follow me. It is the same call that stirred fishermen from their boats, prophets from their fears, and saints from their comfort. It is a call not just to act, but to trust, not just to go, but to go with you. So I rise into this morning with open hands and an open heart, ready to follow wherever your spirit leads. My steps may be small, but they will be steady. My understanding may be limited, but my surrender is whole. The sun climbs higher now, casting light across the path before me. I do not know where it will lead, but I know who walks beside me. And that is enough. Each act of obedience, no matter how simple, is a seed of faith planted in your soil. And in time, it will bloom into something beautiful, not because I made it happen, but because I said yes when you called. Lord, as the echoes of obedience still resonate within my heart, I feel you leading me into an even deeper truth, one that both humbles and frees the soul. Obedience taught me how to follow, but surrender teaches me how to let go completely. It is one thing to say yes to your will, but another to place every part of myself, my plans, my fears, my dreams into your hands without condition. This morning, as the light spreads across the horizon, I sense you asking not for my effort, but for my release. Father, surrender is not weakness, though it feels like defeat to the human heart. It is the quiet courage to stop striving, to unclench my hands, and to say, "You are enough." The world tells me to fight for control, to chase certainty, to secure every outcome by my own strength. Yet the more I try to master life, the more I lose its peace. You are teaching me that the truest victory is not in conquering, but in yielding to your timing, your wisdom, your love. I am learning that freedom is found not when I hold tightly, but when I trust completely. God, surrender begins where my strength ends. It is often born out of exhaustion, when I realize that my efforts cannot change what only grace can. I have wrestled with worry until my soul was tired, trying to predict and prevent pain, trying to protect what I love from every storm. But your whisper comes softly. Be still. You do not demand that I fix what is broken. You ask me to place the brokenness in your hands. So here I am, offering not my perfection, but my dependence, not my answers, but my willingness to rest in yours. Lord, help me to see surrender not as losing, but as aligning. It is the moment when my will bows to yours, not out of fear, but out of faith. You are not a tyrant demanding control. You are a father inviting trust. Your plans are not meant to harm, but to heal. I can release my grip because you never drop what you hold. Teach me to live in that confidence that I can surrender what I do not understand, because I know the one who does. Father, there are things in my heart that are hardest to release, the prayers that have gone unanswered, the relationships that ache with distance, the dreams that once burned bright but now flicker faintly. I have carried them as burdens, believing that if I let go, they would die. But perhaps letting go is not the end. Perhaps it is the way they come to life again, transformed by your purpose. So I place them before you, not as demands, but as offerings. I trust that whatever you return will come back sanctified, and whatever you remove will make room for something better. God, surrender does not come once, it comes daily, sometimes moment by moment. Every time fear rises, I must choose faith again. Every time I feel the urge to control, I must choose to rest. Every time I am tempted to take back what I have already laid down, I must remember that you are more capable of handling my life than I am. Help me to build this rhythm into my heart, the daily dying to self that makes room for your spirit to live fully within me. Lord, I surrender not only my struggles, but also my successes. Even the good things can become chains when I hold them too tightly. Achievements, recognition, comfort, they are gifts, not gods. Let me enjoy them without worshiping them, use them without clinging to them. Teach me that surrender is not the absence of ambition, but the redirection of it when my greatest desire becomes to glorify you rather than gratify myself. When I live surrendered, I no longer chase validation, because your approval is enough. Father, when surrender feels painful, remind me that you understand. You know what it means to let go, You released heaven's glory to walk among us. You surrendered your Son to suffering so that love could win. The cross was not the failure of control, but the triumph of trust. If surrender was the path to redemption, then surely it is the path to transformation. Let that truth steady me when my heart resists yielding. Let me remember that every act of surrender brings resurrection closer. God, I want to live light, unburdened by the need to manage what only you can mend. When I surrender, I am not giving up on life. I am giving life back to you. I am saying, lead me where peace grows. And peace always grows in the soil of surrender. It is not loud or dramatic, it is quiet, steady, rooted. It is the calm that comes when I finally stop fighting what is meant to be entrusted to you. Lord, let surrender shape my relationships, my choices, my prayers. When others disappoint me, teach me to release them into your grace instead of resentment. When circumstances turn against my expectations, teach me to let go of control without losing hope. When life changes faster than I can adjust, remind me that you are unchanging. To surrender is to return to center, to remember that I am not the maker of my destiny, but the beloved child of the one who is. Father, I surrender this day to you the conversations I will have, the thoughts that will rise, the decisions I must make. I do not ask for everything to go my way. I ask that whatever happens, I remain in yours. If today brings joy, let me receive it with gratitude. If it brings challenge, let me meet it with grace. Whatever it brings, let me live it open-handed, knowing that I lose nothing that is entrusted to you. And as the sun climbs higher, pouring its golden warmth over the earth, I feel a quiet release within me. The weight I carried begins to lift, replaced by a stillness that feels sacred. It is not resignation, it is renewal. I do not feel empty. I feel held. The air tastes of freedom, and my heart beats in rhythm with yours. This is surrender, not a moment of defeat, but the dawning of peace, where I no longer need to understand everything to know that I am safe in your will. Father, as surrender settles in my spirit like calm waters after a storm, I sense a deeper stirring beneath the stillness, a spark awakening, glowing faintly at first, then growing brighter. Surrender has cleared the space within me. And now, something new begins to rise. It is renewal, the quiet miracle that follows every letting go. You are breathing life into what had grown weary, igniting hope where ashes once lay. I can feel it. Lord, the fire of renewal, not consuming but refining, transforming weakness into strength and despair into vision. Lord, I used to think renewal came only through triumph, that revival of the heart followed moments of success or joy. But now I understand that renewal is often born in the ruins, in the silence after surrender, in the waiting that feels endless, in the emptiness that invites you in. You never waste what is broken. You rebuild it stronger. You do not discard the tired heart. You breathe into it again. Like the dawn after nightfall, renewal does not rush, it unfolds gently, steadily, until what was once lost begins to live again. God, I feel you reshaping me from the inside out. The pieces of me that were once scattered now begin to align under your touch. You are not giving me back what I lost. You are making me into someone new, Renewal is not restoration to what was, it is transformation into what can be. It is the divine exchange of sorrow for wisdom, of fear for courage, of weariness for wonder. Every moment I yield to you becomes a spark in the fire you are kindling within me. And I realize this: what burns away was never meant to stay. Father, your renewal is not loud or hurried. It arrives quietly, in the rhythm of small miracles. It comes when I find joy again in things I once took for granted: the sound of morning birds, the warmth of sunlight on my skin, the laughter that escapes unexpectedly. It comes when forgiveness feels easier, when patience returns where frustration once lived, when peace becomes my first instinct instead of my last resort. You are teaching me that renewal does not demand drama. It simply requires surrender and time in your presence. Lord, I have walked through seasons of drought, where faith felt brittle and prayer felt dry. Yet even there, you were at work beneath the surface. What I thought was barrenness was really preparation. Like roots deepening unseen, my spirit was learning resilience. The rain was coming, though I could not yet see the clouds. Now, as renewal begins, I realize you never abandoned me in the wilderness. You were teaching me how to live from your water, not my well. I no longer fear dry seasons. I see them as sacred pauses where dependence deepens and trust is born. God, I thank you for the fire that renews. Fire does not destroy what is pure, it refines it. It burns away the excess, the pride, the fears that cling too tightly. Let your refining fire move through me, not to harm, but to heal. Burn away the bitterness I have carried, the doubts that linger, the habits that weigh me down. Let what remains be authentic and unshakable, a heart aligned with yours, a faith not built on circumstance but on covenant. Renewal through fire is not pain without purpose. It is transformation with meaning. Father, I see now that renewal is both a gift and a choice. You provide the strength, but I must make room for it. I must choose to believe again, to open my heart again, to try again even after disappointment. Renewal is not just something that happens to me, it is something that happens through me when I say yes to life once more. So I choose to live today as one being made new, to look at the world not through the lens of what has been lost, but through the promise of what is being created. Lord, let this renewal not remain private, but overflow into how I touch others. When I speak, let my words carry warmth. When I serve, let my actions breathe hope. When I listen, let my presence heal. Renewal is contagious. It multiplies through kindness, through faith shared, through joy that cannot be contained. The people around me sense that something within me has been rekindled, not by effort, but by encounter. Let them see the reflection of your light in my eyes and be drawn not to me, but to you, God. There was a time when I thought renewal meant starting over, erasing the past and pretending it never happened. But you have shown me that true renewal is not about erasure, it is about redemption. You weave my mistakes into lessons, my failures into foundations. Every scar becomes a testimony, every tear a seed of compassion. Nothing is wasted in your hands. You are the God who turns endings into beginnings and ruins into revelation. So I do not fear what has been. I thank you for what it has become. Father, I stand here in the middle of this morning light, breathing deeply of your grace. The air feels different, lighter, cleaner, as if the whole world has exhaled with me. The fire within no longer feels consuming but comforting. It is the warmth of purpose, the glow of renewed strength. My faith feels young again, not because life has grown easier, but because I have learned to see you more clearly. Renewal has given me new eyes, not to escape reality, but to recognize divinity in it. As I prepare to step into this day, I carry this truth. Renewal is not a moment. It is a way of living. It is choosing daily to be remade by grace, to let every sunrise become a reminder that nothing is too old for transformation. The ashes of yesterday do not define me. They enrich the soil of what is growing today. I will walk forward with a heart alive again, no longer defined by exhaustion but by expectancy. You are not just the God who restores what was. You are the God who makes all things new. And as the morning breeze brushes against my skin, I feel it whisper through my spirit, soft, steady, alive. It is not just the wind. It is renewal breathing through me, reminding me that life with you is an endless cycle of falling, rising, burning, blooming. Every day is a new creation, every moment an invitation to begin again. Father, as the flame of renewal burns gently within me, I feel you calling me to rise and walk forward, not with fear, but with faith. Renewal awakens the heart, but faith gives it movement. It is the bridge between what I believe and how I live. You are asking me now to trust beyond what I can see, to step into unknown places, to walk paths that require courage more than certainty. I feel the invitation deeply, not as a demand, but as a whisper of love that says, "Come, take my hand." Lord, walking in faith has never been easy. The path you set before me often wins through valleys that seem too deep and hills that appear too high. My human heart longs for stability, for maps, for signs that guarantee safety. But you do not offer me a life free of risk. You offer me a life filled with purpose. You do not promise that the journey will be smooth, but you promise that I will never walk it alone. That is the foundation of my courage, not my own strength, but the assurance of your presence with every step. God, faith is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to keep walking, even when fear whispers loud. It is standing in the wind of uncertainty and believing that the unseen arms of grace are holding me steady. Teach me to recognize faith not by how confident I feel, but by how willing I am to move despite trembling. Let every step I take be a declaration that you are greater than my doubt, stronger than my weakness, and nearer than my worry. Father, I think of all the times I hesitated, waiting for perfect conditions before obeying. I wanted every detail to make sense, every door to be open, every storm to be still. But faith rarely begins with clarity, it begins with movement. Abraham left his home before knowing where he was going. Moses lifted his staff before the sea parted. Peter stepped onto water before it became solid beneath his feet. And so must I. You are calling me not to wait for comfort, but to trust in your command. Help me to take that first step, believing that the ground will appear as I move. Lord, remind me that faith is not passive. It is an active trust that changes how I live. It shapes my choices, my priorities, my words. It gives me courage to forgive when it feels undeserved, to love when it feels unsafe, to give when it feels uncertain. Faith is not just believing you can, it is living as if you already have. Let my faith be seen not only in my prayers but in my actions, not only in my words but in my way of being. Let my life become a living story of what it looks like to walk with you in full dependence. God, strengthen me when the road feels long. Sometimes faith feels like walking through fog, each step taken without knowing how far the path extends. The temptation to turn back is real, especially when progress feels invisible. Yet even when I cannot see it, you are working. Growth often happens in the unseen, and victory often begins in the invisible. Teach me to persevere, to keep walking even when my steps echo alone, trusting that you are weaving purpose into every stretch of silence. Father, when I stumble, and I will let my faith not collapse into shame but rise in grace. Faith is not the absence of failure. It is the courage to get up again, believing that you can redeem even my missteps. Every fall becomes a lesson, every delay a preparation. You never waste a single moment of those who trust you. So when I falter, remind me that I am still on the journey. Still loved. Still held. The path of faith is not straight, it is holy. And holiness grows through both the walking and the rising. Lord, I know that walking in faith requires listening. I cannot move ahead if I am not attuned to your voice. The noise of the world can drown out your whispers, the pressure to succeed, the fear of judgment, the distractions of daily life. So quiet my spirit. Let me discern your leading not by thunder, but by peace, not by pressure, but by purpose. Your direction may not always make sense, but it will always bear fruit. I do not need to understand every step. I only need to know the one who leads them, God. When others question my path, help me to remain steady. Faith often looks foolish to those who measure by logic, but you delight in using the impossible to reveal your glory. Let me not defend myself but display trust. Let my calm be testimony, my perseverance a sermon, my peace a quiet declaration that your ways are higher than mine. When I am misunderstood, let me respond not with pride but with patience, knowing that those who walk in faith walk unseen roads that lead to unseen victories. Father, give me courage not only to walk but to wait. Faith is not always motion. Sometimes it is standing still when every impulse screams to run. Waiting is its own form of bravery, a silent trust that time itself belongs to you. In those moments, help me to anchor my hope not in results, but in relationship. I am not waiting for something to happen. I am waiting with someone who never leaves. Let that awareness become my peace. Lord, I lift this day to you and the path that lies before me. I may not see its turns or understand its challenges, but I know who holds its outcome. You go before me to prepare. You walk beside me to guide, and you follow behind to protect. Every breath, every encounter, every challenge is woven into a tapestry of grace that I cannot yet see fully. My task is not to control the pattern, but to keep walking in faith, thread by thread, moment by moment. And as the morning deepens, I step forward into the day you have crafted for me. The light does not reveal the whole road, but it shows enough for now, and that is all I need. My courage does not come from knowing the future. It comes from knowing you. I walk forward, not as one who has it all figured out, but as one who trusts the one who does. Faith is the steady heartbeat beneath uncertainty, the quiet rhythm that keeps me moving when reason says stop, and so I walk eyes open. Heart steady, spirit alive, trusting that every step I take in faith will lead me closer to the fullness of your purpose. Father, as I continue walking this path of faith, I realize that true courage does not only come from strength, it flows from peace. The kind of peace that cannot be shaken by circumstance. The quiet assurance that remains even when storms roar around me. It is not found in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of trust. You have brought me through surrender, through renewal, through courage, and now you are teaching me the stillness that crowns them all. This peace does not come from figuring life out. It comes from resting in the truth that you already have. Lord, peace has always felt like a distant horizon, something I hoped to reach once everything fell into place. But now I see that peace is not a destination. It is a condition of the heart. It begins the moment I stop wrestling with what I cannot control. It arrives when I place my burdens not beside me, not beneath me, but in your hands. You are not asking me to carry life. You are asking me to walk through it with you. And when I finally let you be the one who carries the weight, peace fills the spaces where anxiety once lived. God, teach me to protect this peace. The world is loud, its noise relentless, its urgency constant. Every day offers new reasons to worry. The future, the past, the unknown, the opinions of others, but peace cannot coexist with chaos in the same heart. So I come to you this morning asking for discipline, the discipline to guard what you have given, the wisdom to recognize what steals it. Let me not invite anxiety by replaying what is gone or predicting what has not come. Let me live where peace dwells in the present moment, where your grace always meets me. Father, I have learned that peace is not fragile. It is strong enough to hold me in every season. It does not depend on comfort, but on confidence that you are sovereign over all things. Even when life feels uncertain, your plan is not. Even when I feel lost, your direction is sure. Even when I am surrounded by storms, your presence remains my anchor. I have seen what happens when I panic and try to fix everything on my own. It only multiplies the confusion. But when I stop, breathe, and remember that you are here, peace returns like a tide washing over restless sand. Lord, help me to understand that peace does not mean numbness. It does not mean pretending that pain does not hurt, or that challenges do not weigh heavy. True peace does not ignore the storm. It looks straight into it and still chooses calm. It whispers, even now, God is in control. It allows tears without losing hope. It feels fear without surrendering to it, and it waits without resentment. Teach me to live from that posture, to let peace govern my responses, my tone, my pace. When others bring chaos, let me bring calm. When the world trembles, let my spirit remain unshaken. God, I want peace to rule not only my emotions but my decisions. Too often I have mistaken urgency for purpose, reacting from fear instead of resting in faith. But your wisdom is never rushed. You move through stillness, through clarity born of quiet hearts. So before I speak, before I act, before I choose, let me pause long enough to hear your peace. If a choice robs me of inner calm, let that be a warning. If a door opens but my spirit feels unsettled, teach me to wait. I would rather stand still in peace than run ahead in confusion. Father, your peace does not isolate, it radiates. When I carry it, those around me feel it too. A gentle word can calm a storm. A patient response can heal an argument. A forgiving heart can silence resentment. Let me be a vessel of your peace, a reminder that kindness still exists, that grace is stronger than pride. The world has enough anger, enough division, enough noise. Let my presence be an invitation to rest, to breathe, to trust again. Let peace be the language I speak before I even open my mouth. Lord, when life disrupts this peace, help me to return quickly. When worry creeps in at night, teach me to lay it down again. When unexpected news shakes my confidence, let my first response be prayer, not panic. Peace is not something to chase, it is something to protect. I do not lose it because it disappears. I lose it when I stop looking at you. Help me to fix my gaze on you through every moment, the author of calm, the giver of rest, the keeper of every promise. God, peace also requires forgiveness. I cannot hold on to bitterness and expect serenity to remain. Resentment poisons the quiet places of the soul. So if there are names that still sting when I think of them, bring them to mind not for condemnation, but for release. I do not forgive because they deserve it. I forgive because I refuse to carry the weight any longer. Let forgiveness become the door through which peace walks freely again. And as I release others, release me too from old wounds, old fears, old patterns that no longer serve the life you are creating within me. Father, I thank you that your peace surpasses understanding. It does not require explanation to exist. It simply arrives like light in darkness, steady and sure. It does not depend on my circumstances, but on your constancy. The world may shift, people may change, seasons may come and go, but your peace remains unbroken. It is the steady river flowing through every valley, the stillness that follows every storm. It guards my heart and mind like walls of grace that nothing can breach without permission. As this morning stretches into day, I choose to walk in peace not because life is perfect, but because you are present. I will carry this peace wherever I go, letting it shape my words, steady my steps, and anchor my heart. I will not let the world dictate my calm. I will let your spirit sustain it. For peace is not a feeling to chase, but a gift to live in. It is not temporary. It is eternal. And as long as I keep my eyes on you, I know it will remain quiet, unwavering, and strong enough to hold me through it all. Father, from the stillness of peace now blossoms something brighter, something that stirs softly like music after silence. It is joy, not the fleeting kind that depends on circumstance, not the shallow laughter that fades with disappointment, but the deep, steady joy that comes from knowing you. It rises like light through morning mist, subtle yet unstoppable, and it fills every corner of my being. After the surrender, after the trust, after the peace, joy comes as the reward of presence. It is not earned, it is discovered. Lord, joy is not what the world promises. The world confuses happiness with abundance, excitement with fulfillment, noise with celebration. But your joy is different. It does not demand performance or possession. It lives quietly within the heart that has learned to rest in you. It is the melody that continues even when the song of life changes key. I have chased happiness before, only to find it vanish when trouble appeared. But joy, your joy, remains even in the middle of loss. It does not deny pain, it transforms it, teaching me that I can still smile while healing. God, teach me to see joy not as a reaction, but as a way of living. It is not waiting for good days to appear. It is finding goodness in every day. It is the strength that lets me laugh when the world expects me to weep, the peace that turns sighs into songs. This joy cannot be stolen because it is rooted in something eternal. It flows from gratitude, from trust, from the quiet confidence that you are here, that you are working, that all things, yes, even the hard ones, are being shaped for my good. Father, I have learned that joy grows best in humble soil. It blooms where hearts have been broken enough to let the light in. When pride falls away, when control loosens, when expectations fade, joy enters like sunlight through an open window. It thrives not in perfection, but in presence, in the simple awareness that I am alive, loved, and held by grace. Let me never overlook the small things that birth great joy, a breath after tears, a kind word at the right time, the warmth of a sunrise that reminds me of mercy renewed. Lord, sometimes I forget that joy is also strength. It is not fragile, it is fierce. It lifts the weary, restores the broken, and defies despair. The world may mock it, calling it naive or blind, but joy sees deeper than sorrow. It recognizes the beauty beneath the ashes, the meaning behind the mystery. Let that kind of joy live in me, a joy that cannot be silenced by circumstance or crushed by fear. Let it be the quiet rebellion of my soul, the declaration that even here, in the middle of uncertainty, life is still beautiful, 'cause you are still good. God, there are days when joy feels far away, when the heart grows heavy with the weight of waiting or the ache of loss. But even then, it is never gone. It hides like a seed beneath the soil, waiting for warmth. The absence of laughter does not mean the death of joy. It simply means the season of blooming has not yet come. Remind me that joy often grows in the unseen, nurtured by tears, watered by patience. Let me not confuse delay with denial. You are still at work, and joy will return, not because I force it, but because you are faithful. Father, I want joy to overflow into how I live. Let it color my words, my gestures, my presence. When I speak, let joy soften my tone. When I serve, let joy steady my spirit. When I face challenges, let joy remind me that I have already overcome through you. I want people to feel your joy when they are near me, not the kind that shouts or shines for attention, but the quiet radiance that says, there is peace here, there is hope here, there is light here. Let my life preach joy without ever needing words. Lord, joy also grows through generosity. When I give, when I bless, when I lift another, joy multiplies. The heart that shares is never empty. Teach me that the secret to joy is not in holding tightly, but in releasing freely. Let me give kindness without calculation, love without condition, time without resentment. Every act of compassion fans the flame of joy. Forgiving connects me back to your heart, the source of all gladness. Let me live in such a way that joy flows through me like a river, refreshing everything it touches. God, I thank you for the kind of joy that coexists with reality. It does not demand escape, but finds delight in endurance. It sings softly while the storm still rages, trusting that light will return. It knows that pain is temporary, but your goodness is not. Let that truth sustain me through every season. When the road is rough, let joy remind me of purpose. When the night feels long, let joy remind me that morning always comes. When I am weary, let joy become my rest. Father, joy is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the proof that my heart is alive, that my spirit has not surrendered to despair. It is the sacred laughter of the soul that knows it belongs to something eternal. Let me never outgrow the wonder that joy brings. Let me dance again to the rhythm of grace. Let me marvel again at the mystery of love. Let me live again with childlike faith that finds joy in simply being yours. And as I stand here in the quiet of morning, I can feel that joy within me warm, deep, unshakable. It hums beneath my heartbeat like a gentle song only the soul can hear. It is not loud or fleeting, but steady and alive. It turns every breath into gratitude, every thought into praise. I carry it now as I step into the day, not because life is perfect, but because joy has taught me that perfection was never the goal, presence was. And in your presence, Lord, joy is complete. Father, as joy settles into the deepest part of my heart, I begin to sense its quiet transformation. Joy that is real never stays contained. It expands. It overflows, and it calls me outward. The warmth that filled my spirit now begins to reach for others. It becomes compassion. It is as if your own heartbeat echoes through mine, urging me to love beyond comfort, to see beyond myself, to feel the weight of another's pain and still hold hope for them. Compassion is the fruit of divine joy, and it grows only when the heart has been softened by grace. Lord, I used to think compassion was only about feeling sorry for others, but now I understand it is something far deeper. It is not pity that looks down, it is love that bends low. It is not simply seeing suffering. It is being moved to act because I see you in every hurting soul. Compassion is what happens when empathy meets courage, when kindness moves beyond words into action. You have shown me this countless times. Every moment you comforted me in silence. Every time you forgave before I even asked. Every gentle nudge that reminded me I am never beyond mercy. This is the compassion I now long to give. God, help me to see people the way you do, not through the lens of judgment or comparison, but through the eyes of understanding. Teach me to listen before I assume, to comfort before I criticize, to serve before I speak. Every person I meet carries a story unseen, a weight unknown, a battle fought in silence. Let me be slow to anger and quick to grace. When I encounter brokenness, let compassion lead me to connection instead of complaint. Let me become a safe place for the weary, a light for those who have forgotten their own. Father, compassion is not always convenient. It interrupts my comfort, stretches my patience, and challenges my pride, but it also expands my soul. The more I give it, the more room there is for you to dwell. Sometimes it means forgiving the one who has wounded me, even when apologies never come. Sometimes it means showing kindness to those who cannot repay it. Sometimes it simply means being present when there are no right words. Compassion does not need eloquence, it needs authenticity. It does not ask, "What do I gain from this?" It asks, "What can I give of myself to love like you?" Lord, I realize that true compassion often begins with brokenness. When I allow myself to feel pain deeply, I become more capable of understanding the pain of others. You have used my wounds as classrooms, my failures as lessons, my losses as bridges to empathy. What once felt like punishment has become preparation. I no longer see suffering as an interruption to my journey. It is the place where compassion is born. Through the cracks of my own heart, your mercy flows outward to heal others. What a mystery that even my pain can serve a purpose in your plan. God, teach me to live compassion daily, not as a performance but as a posture. Let it show in how I treat strangers, how I speak to those who disagree with me, how I respond to the difficult and the demanding. Compassion does not choose who deserves it, it gives freely, because love never asks for qualification. When I begin to see through eyes of grace, I will recognize that every person, even the one who tests my patience, bears your image. Let that awareness reshape every interaction until kindness becomes second nature and judgment feels foreign. Father, I know compassion can be costly. It requires vulnerability, and vulnerability feels risky. To open my heart is to expose it, to let others in even when they might not understand. But you remind me that closed hearts cannot heal, and withheld love cannot bless. Compassion asks me to risk being misunderstood for the sake of mercy. It invites me to care even when it hurts, to stay when it would be easier to walk away. Yet every act of compassion, no matter how small, plants seeds of eternity in someone's soul. Those seeds may bloom long after I am gone, but you see them, and that is enough. Lord, help me to remember that compassion begins at home in my words, my tone, my patience with those closest to me. It is easy to love the world in theory, but real compassion begins in the quiet spaces of everyday life, in how I listen without distraction, in how I forgive quickly, in how I speak gently even when I feel justified to be harsh. Let me not overlook the simple opportunities to reflect your love. The person before me right now might be the one who needs it most. Let me not miss that moment because I was too busy looking for grand gestures. God, I ask you to make compassion my language. When I meet the weary, let my smile become comfort. When I encounter the hopeless, let my words become light. When I see injustice, let my actions become healing. Let compassion be my legacy, the invisible mark I leave on hearts long after the conversation ends. I want to be remembered not for my accomplishments, but for the way your love moved through me to touch others. Father, Thank you for showing me that compassion is not weakness, it is strength refined through love. It takes courage to forgive, endurance to care, and humility to serve. Yet in every act of compassion, I find you again. You live in every embrace freely given, every tear quietly shared, every act of mercy that whispers, "You are not alone." This is the sacred rhythm of grace. The more I pour out, the more you fill me. Compassion is not depletion. It is divine circulation, where love flows endlessly from you through me and back again. And now, as the morning light continues to grow, I feel its warmth resting on me like a promise. Compassion is not just a feeling to carry, it is a mission to live. I step into this day ready to see the world through softer eyes, ready to love with hands that do not hesitate, ready to serve without seeking applause. The same mercy that found me now flows outward, unbound, unhindered. For when compassion becomes my reflex, the world begins to heal, and in that healing, Lord, I find you once more. Father, as compassion begins to take root in the garden of my heart, I feel it leading me to a place even deeper, a place where mercy matures into forgiveness. Compassion opens the door, but forgiveness walks through it. It is here, in this sacred and sometimes painful space, that love is tested and grace is proven. You have taught me that forgiveness is not a single act, but a lifelong posture, a way of seeing others and myself through your eyes. It asks me to release what I have carried too long, to let go not because they deserve it, but because you have freed me to do so. Lord, forgiveness has never come easily to me. My heart remembers, my mind replays, my pride resists. The wounds cut deep, and sometimes they feel fresh, even after years have passed. I have told myself that holding on protects me, but it only keeps me bound. Bitterness is a chain disguised as armor. It feels strong at first, but it slowly poisons peace. You, Lord, have shown me another way, the way of release. When I forgive, I do not erase the past. I free the present. I take the key you have placed in my hand and unlock the door of my own soul. God, teach me to forgive the way you forgive fully, freely, and without condition. You never ration mercy. You do not wait for perfection before you pardon. You see every flaw and still choose love. That is the kind of grace I long to reflect. Help me to understand that forgiveness is not about approving what was wrong. It is about refusing to let wrongness define me. It is not a sign of weakness. It is the evidence of divine strength within me. Only those who have been touched by your mercy can truly release it to others. Father, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is myself. I carry guilt for words I wish I could unsay, choices I wish I could undo, moments I wish I could rewrite. But holding on to regret does not redeem the past, it only robs the future. You never intended for me to live in shame. You called me to live in grace. So I lay down my self-judgment at your feet. Let your forgiveness flow through me, cleansing every corner of my heart that still believes I am unworthy of healing. Remind me that once you forgive, it is finished. I do not have to reopen what you have already redeemed. Lord, forgiveness also means trusting you with justice. I do not have to avenge or explain or prove. You see every injustice, every betrayal, every hidden wound. Nothing escapes your sight, and nothing is beyond your ability to make right. I release my right to retaliation and trade it for peace. I choose not to be a prisoner of resentment, but a vessel of reconciliation. Even if restoration never comes, forgiveness allows me to walk free. It loosens the grip of anger and makes room for love to breathe again. God, help me to forgive even when apologies never arrive. Some hearts may never understand the harm they caused, and some wounds may never receive closure in the way I imagine. Yet you remind me that closure does not come from others. It comes from surrendering to you. I can let go without losing myself. I can extend mercy without becoming weak. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without reliving. It is the miracle of holding memory without letting it hold me. Father, teach me to practice forgiveness daily, even in small ways. When someone interrupts me, when words sting, when expectations go unmet, let forgiveness rise faster than frustration. Let it be instinct, not effort. Let my first response be grace, not grudge. You have forgiven me more times than I can count. How can I withhold what I have received in abundance? I want to live with a heart so light that no offense can weigh it down. A heart so free that even wounds become witnesses of your healing. Lord, there are moments when forgiving feels impossible. The hurt feels too deep, the loss too great. In those moments, remind me that I am not forgiving alone. You, the great healer, stand beside me. You whisper courage into my trembling heart. You remind me that I do not have to feel ready to choose forgiveness. I only have to be willing. You take that willingness and turn it into strength. Each small surrender becomes a step toward wholeness, until one day the wound that once bled now beats with compassion. God, forgiveness is the doorway to peace, but it is also the seed of transformation. When I forgive, I break cycles of pain that could have continued through generations. I become an instrument of change, a reflection of redemption. The forgiveness I give today may heal someone I will never meet. It may mend a soul too afraid to ask for mercy. That is how powerful forgiveness is. It ripples through time, touching lives beyond my own. Let me never underestimate the quiet strength of letting go. Father, I thank you that forgiveness never empties me, it restores me. It replaces bitterness with tenderness, anger with empathy, pain with wisdom. Every time I release what was meant to destroy me, I grow stronger, softer, freer. Forgiveness rebuilds what resentment tries to erode. It returns dignity to my spirit, harmony to my thoughts, and lightness to my steps. This is the kind of strength that cannot be seen but can always be felt. It is the power of grace living within human weakness. And now, as the day unfolds, I walk forward lighter than before. The air feels different when the heart is unburdened. The morning sun no longer falls on old wounds, but on healed places that once hurt. I realize that forgiveness is not an event. It is a way of being, a steady rhythm of release that mirrors your heartbeat. With each act of forgiveness, I learn more about you. I learn that love is not blind, it is brave. I learn that mercy is not naive, it is mighty. And I learn that the strongest hands are the ones that can let go. Father, as forgiveness completes its quiet work within me, I feel something profound awakening clarity, like morning light breaking through clouds after a long night. Forgiveness has cleared the fog, and now I begin to see the road ahead with new eyes. Everything I have walked through the pain, the surrender, the peace, the joy was not random, it was preparation. You have been shaping me, even when I did not understand, molding every chapter of my life into something greater than I could imagine. And now, you call me to walk fully in purpose, not the purpose I choose for myself, but the one you designed long before I was born. Lord, purpose feels like breath, it gives life meaning. It is the invisible thread that ties all things together, weaving both triumph and trial into a single story of redemption. Sometimes I used to wonder if I had missed it, if my detours disqualified me, if my mistakes had rewritten what you intended. But I know now that nothing is wasted in your hands. Every wrong turn became a lesson. Every loss became a reshaping. Every delay a divine appointment. You never abandoned the plan. You refined me for it. Purpose is not something I lost. It is something that waited patiently until I was ready to walk in it. God, show me how to live from that purpose, not just for it. Let it not be a distant dream or a future goal, but the rhythm of my everyday. Purpose is not found in the grand gestures, but in the ordinary faithfulness, the words spoken in love, the work done with integrity, the acts of kindness no one sees. It is found in the quiet yes of the heart that says, use me. I may never stand before crowds or change nations, but I can touch lives one soul at a time, one moment at a time, simply by being yours. Father, I no longer want to measure success by what the world applauds. I have seen how temporary that applause can be. Instead, let my worth be measured by obedience, by how fully I live what you have planted within me. Purpose is not about status. It is about surrender. It is not about doing more, but becoming more patient, more compassionate, more aware of you in every step. If walking in purpose means walking unseen, let me walk unseen with joy. If it means being misunderstood, let me be misunderstood with grace. I would rather be aligned with heaven than admired by the world. Lord, help me to recognize that purpose is not a single assignment. It is a lifelong conversation between Creator and creation. It changes shape as I grow, deepens as I listen, expands as I trust. Sometimes it calls me into action. Other times, it calls me to stillness. But always, it calls me closer to you. Purpose is not a path I must find alone. It is a journey I take hand in hand with you. You go before me, preparing the way, even when I cannot see beyond the next step. My role is not to understand every detail, but to remain available. God, let me not chase purpose out of fear that I am falling behind. You are not a God of hurry. You are a God of perfect timing. When I rush, I miss the sacred details you have woven into the present. When I compare my path to another's, I forget that you write every story differently. Teach me to walk in rhythm with your pace, not the world's pressure. The purpose you give is never too late, never too small, and never too far beyond my reach. I am not meant to compete. I am meant to complete what you began in me. Father, Sometimes I wonder if purpose is more about transformation than destination. Perhaps it is not so much about what I do, but who I become in the doing. Each act of trust shapes my heart. Each act of love expands my spirit. Each act of faith aligns me closer with your image. You are not only guiding me toward purpose, you are growing purpose within me. The seeds you planted long ago are now sprouting, breaking through the soil of fear and doubt, reaching toward the light of faith. Lord, let my purpose always serve others. The gifts you have placed within me were never meant to end with me. They are vessels for grace, channels of hope. If my words can comfort, let me speak. If my hands can help, let them move. If my silence can heal, let me listen. Purpose without love is just ambition, but purpose wrapped in love becomes ministry. I do not want to live a life that is impressive. I want to live a life that is impactful, one that leaves traces of your heart wherever I go. God, when I grow weary, remind me that purpose does not depend on perfection. Some days will feel like progress, others like pauses. Yet even in the pauses, you are working. When doors close, you are redirecting. When plans fall apart, you are rebuilding. Purpose is not fragile. It survives the waiting. It even thrives there, because waiting teaches dependence, and dependence strengthens faith. Help me to walk through every season, joy or struggle, with the assurance that my steps are not wasted, that even in detours, destiny is being fulfilled. Father, thank you for entrusting me with a purpose that reflects your love in a world that desperately needs it. You could have chosen anyone, yet you chose me not because of my strength, but because of your grace. You take what is ordinary and fill it with divine significance. You take what feels small and make it eternal. Let me wake each morning knowing that my life, no matter how simple, is part of something infinite. Every sunrise is an invitation to participate in your work, to bring light into shadows, and to love as you love. And as I step into this day, I carry this awareness like a sacred flame that purpose is not a task to complete, but a way to live. It is in every breath, every decision, every moment I choose faith over fear and love over pride. I do not walk aimlessly. I walk intentionally, knowing that even the smallest step in obedience ripples through eternity. You have given my life meaning beyond measure, and I will spend each day walking it out, not for recognition, but for relationship, for to walk in divine purpose, Lord, is to walk in you. Father, as I continue walking in the purpose you have written for my life, I realize that purpose is not only about direction, it is about depth. It is not simply a destination to arrive at, but a way of becoming. Each morning that I rise in your light, I understand more clearly that living with purpose means living in alignment with your heart. It is to wake up not asking, "What must I do today?" but instead, "Who can I become through this day?" For every moment, every choice, and every encounter is an opportunity to reflect something eternal. Lord, purpose feels lighter now than it once did. It no longer carries the weight of performance. It carries the rhythm of peace. I no longer chase outcomes. I follow presence. I see now that your calling is not confined to grand gestures or visible victories. It lives in the quiet, faithful steps that no one applauds but you. It lives in the unseen kindness, the patient waiting, the silent endurance. When I walk in purpose, even my smallest acts are sacred. A word of encouragement becomes ministry. A gesture of forgiveness becomes worship. A simple decision to love becomes a declaration that I belong to you. God, I thank you that purpose is not limited by circumstance. It continues through seasons of abundance and scarcity, joy and sorrow, clarity and confusion. Even when I do not see progress, purpose is alive beneath the surface. You are always weaving, shaping, aligning. My life is not random, it is written with divine intentionality. What feels delayed is often preparation, and what feels broken often becomes the very thing you use to build something beautiful. My calling is not to question the process, but to stay faithful within it. Father, help me to recognize that purpose is not something I achieve. It is something I embody. You do not ask me to climb ladders of success, but to walk paths of surrender. The more I let go of my need to control, the more space you have to lead. Every time I choose trust over anxiety, I live out purpose. Every time I serve without seeking recognition, I fulfill destiny. Every time I speak truth with love, I move closer to the reason you placed breath within me. My purpose is not to be impressive, it is to be useful in your hands. Lord, sometimes I am tempted to compare my journey to others, to measure my calling by the size of their accomplishments. But comparison only blinds me to what you are doing uniquely through me. You remind me that no two callings look the same, because no two hearts were shaped alike. Each life carries its own melody. And when every person walks faithfully in their rhythm, the world hears the harmony of heaven. Let me be content to play my part, however small, knowing that obedience, not recognition, is what brings joy to your heart. God, I have learned that purpose often hides itself in places of service. It is not always loud or dramatic. It is often disguised as compassion, humility, or perseverance. Purpose may look like showing up when it would be easier to quit, like speaking peace when anger would feel easier, like loving the undeserving because you loved me first. You never waste the mundane. You sanctify it. You never overlook the overlooked. You dwell among them. Let me see purpose not as something waiting for me tomorrow, but as something breathing within this very moment. Father, I know now that purpose is sustained by connection. I cannot walk in it apart from you. When I drift from your presence, even success feels hollow. But when I stay close to you, even the smallest assignment feels holy. You are the source, the center, and the completion of my calling. Without you, my purpose becomes performance. With you, it becomes peace. Let every goal I pursue begin in prayer and end in gratitude. Let every ambition bow to your timing. Let every effort be soaked in love, so that all I do carries the fragrance of grace. Lord, there are still days when I question my direction. The path ahead sometimes looks uncertain, and my steps feel small against the weight of the unknown. But even then, I am learning to rest in the truth that purpose does not depend on clarity, it depends on trust. I do not need to see the entire horizon to take the next step. I only need to know that you are with me. Purpose does not vanish in uncertainty. It deepens there. It is in those moments of unknowing that faith becomes real, and faith itself is the foundation of calling. God, let my purpose never grow cold. Keep my heart alive with wonder, my spirit eager to serve, my vision open to your whispers. Let me never grow so busy fulfilling a plan that I forget to nurture relationship. Purpose is not a checklist, it is communion. It is found not in striving, but in staying. You are not waiting for me to accomplish something extraordinary. You are walking beside me, turning ordinary obedience into something eternal. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I will trust your heart, for you never lead without meaning. Father, I now understand that purpose is not something that ends, it evolves, stretching beyond this life into eternity. Every act of faith here echoes forever. Every word spoken in love leaves a mark that time cannot erase. My purpose is not confined to my years on this earth. It is the continuation of your will through me, even after I am gone. When I choose kindness, I pass it on. When I share hope, I multiply it. When I love, I plant something eternal. And that, Lord, is the truest calling of all, to be a vessel through which your love continues to flow long after my voice has gone quiet. And as morning light spills once more across the horizon, I feel a peace beyond explanation. Purpose no longer feels like a question to answer, but a relationship to nurture. I am not lost. I am led. I am not striving. I am surrendered. I walk forward into the day, not to find meaning, but to live it, to embody it with every word, every action, every heartbeat. For to walk in divine purpose, Father, is not to chase greatness, but to walk faithfully with you, moment by moment, until every step becomes an echo of your will on earth. Father, as the light of purpose continues to unfold before me, I feel a deeper stillness settling in my heart, a realization that walking in your will is less about striving and more about abiding. Purpose no longer feels like a mission to accomplish. It feels like a melody to live. Each note of my life, whether soft or strong, blends with the harmony of your design. I do not walk alone. I walk in rhythm with the one who dreamed me into being. The same hands that shaped galaxies guide the small moments of my day, turning ordinary steps into sacred ground. Lord, you have taught me that walking in divine purpose is not about grand destinations, but about constant alignment. It is to wake each morning and whisper, "Lead me today." Some days you lead me into action, and other days into silence. Sometimes you call me to speak truth. Other times you ask me to simply listen. But always, you lead with love. Each act of faithfulness becomes a thread that weaves my story into yours, until my life becomes less about me and more about what you are doing through me. God, I used to believe purpose meant having everything figured out, the perfect plan, the clear vision, the tangible outcome. But you are showing me that clarity is not the goal. Communion is, when I walk with you, I do not need to know the whole road. I only need to know your heart. Every step becomes revelation. Every delay becomes refining. Every moment of stillness becomes preparation. The more I trust your pace, the less I fear my own progress. For purpose is not a finish line, it is a lifelong unfolding of grace. Father, walking in purpose sometimes means walking through tension. It means obeying when I do not understand, giving when I feel empty, loving when it costs more than I want to give. Yet even in those moments, I sense your peace. Purpose does not remove hardship, it redeems it. The challenges I face are not signs of failure, but invitations to grow stronger in faith when I choose perseverance over despair. I am walking in purpose when I forgive instead of retaliate. I am walking in purpose when I keep believing in goodness despite the darkness. I am walking in purpose. Lord, let me never mistake comfort for calling. The path you set before me is not always easy, but it is always holy. You refine me in motion, teaching me to depend not on outcomes, but on obedience. You strip away the illusions of control until all that remains is trust. And in that trust, I find freedom. I no longer fear detours or delays, because I know you are present in them. Nothing is wasted when I walk with you, even my weaknesses. When surrendered, become tools for your glory. God, help me to live with vision that looks beyond the surface. Let me see that purpose is not limited to seasons of success or recognition. It thrives even in quiet endurance. Sometimes purpose looks like persistence in the mundane, the daily faithfulness that nobody applauds, but heaven notices. Help me to remember that purpose does not need applause to be powerful. It simply needs consistency. When I show up with a heart that believes you are working through me, I am fulfilling the very reason you created me. Father, I want my walk in purpose to leave a trail of love wherever I go. Let my presence carry peace into chaos, compassion into bitterness, and hope into despair. Let those who encounter me sense something greater, your spirit, at work through my smallness. Let my words lift, my actions heal, and my faith inspire. If my life accomplishes nothing more than reminding one weary soul that they are seen and loved by you, then I have fulfilled my calling. Purpose is not about how far I go. It is about how deeply I love along the way. Lord, sometimes walking in purpose requires patience. There are seasons when progress feels invisible, when prayers seem unanswered, when doors remain closed. In those moments, remind me that purpose is not paused, it is being perfected. Seeds grow in silence before they break through the soil. You are working in the unseen, shaping what I cannot yet perceive. Help me to keep walking, even when the way feels unclear. My waiting is not wasted when it is anchored in faith. You are not slow. You are strategic. Every delay has a reason, and every season has a lesson. God, thank you for making purpose personal. It is not a blueprint I must decipher. It is a relationship I must nurture. The closer I walk with you, the more I understand who I am. Purpose is not found in achieving more, but in becoming more like you. To walk in divine purpose is to live surrendered, to love unconditionally, to serve joyfully, and to trust completely. Let my steps be gentle but firm, humble but bold, aware that every movement in grace echoes eternity. Father, as I move through this day, let my purpose not end with me, but flow through me. Let it reach the unnoticed, the forgotten, the hurting, Let it comfort the lonely and ignite hope in those who have lost it. I do not want to live a life that is simply productive. I want to live a life that is prophetic, a life that reveals who you are through what I do. Each word, each decision, each moment of compassion becomes an offering when it is done for love. And in that offering, purpose is fulfilled. And now, as the morning sun climbs higher, I feel your presence surrounding me like warmth that never fades. Purpose feels less like a path and more like a pulse, the steady rhythm of grace guiding my steps. I do not walk aimlessly. I walk intentionally, led by love, sustained by faith, strengthened by peace. Wherever this road leads, I will go, knowing that divine purpose is not something I chase, it is something I carry. Every sunrise is another reminder that I am where I am meant to be, doing what I was made to do, walking with you. Father, as I reach this quiet moment of reflection, I look back on the long journey of these mornings, each prayer a breath, each word a step, each moment a seed of faith sown into the soil of my heart. You have carried me through stillness and storm, through doubt and discovery, through silence and song. Every chapter has been a glimpse into the vastness of your love. And though this prayer draws to its close, the story of our communion continues. For faith, once awakened, never truly ends, it lives. It grows, it breathes through every sunrise that follows. Lord, I once began these mornings with questions, uncertainties about purpose, about timing, about how to find you in the noise of life. But now, as I stand here, I see that you were never far. You were in every pause that slowed me down, in every ache that stretched me, in every joy that lifted me higher. You were not waiting at the end of my journey. You were walking with me all along. Even when I could not see, you were near. Even when my words faltered, you understood. And even when I thought I was praying to reach you, you were already reaching back to me. God, thank you for the gentle way you teach the soul to trust. Not through thunder, but through whispers. Not through answers, but through presence. You have taught me that faith is not built on certainty, but on surrender. It is not about knowing every reason, it is about resting in your goodness, even when the reasons remain unseen. You have shown me that love is not a promise of comfort, but a covenant of companionship. You never promised a path without storms, but you promised that I would never walk alone. And that is enough. Father, as I step into the days ahead, I carry with me the lessons written in quiet ink upon my spirit. Gratitude for what was, trust for what is, hope for what will be. I no longer pray for a perfect life. I pray for a present one, aware, alive, awake to your movement in every detail. Let me continue to find you not only in sacred spaces, but in the everyday, the laughter of a friend, the rhythm of the rain, the kindness of a stranger, the stillness of a dawn that never tires of beginning again. Let me live not as one searching for miracles, but as one who recognizes them. Lord, keep my heart tender, even when the world feels harsh. Let my faith remain soft enough to weep, yet strong enough to rise. Let my hands stay open to give, to receive, to serve without counting the cost. Teach me that love is the highest purpose and that grace is the greatest strength. And when I falter, remind me that you do not measure me by my failures, but by my willingness to return. For every time I find myself lost, you are the compass that gently points me home. God, I pray for those who have walked this journey with me, for every soul who has listened, who has whispered their own prayers between these words, who has felt something stir within their spirit. May they know that they are never forgotten, never unseen. The same love that found me will find them. The same grace that healed me will heal them. You are not a distant God. You are a living presence in every heartbeat, in every breath, in every new beginning. May those who are weary find rest. May those who are afraid find courage. May those who feel unworthy remember that they are chosen, beloved, and enough. Father, I know now that prayer is not about reaching the heavens. It is about letting heaven reach us. It is about creating space in the noise for your whisper, about opening the windows of the soul so that your light may enter. Every word spoken in faith becomes a bridge between earth and eternity. And even when words fall silent, the heart continues its quiet conversation with you. Prayer is not something I end. It is something I live. It flows through me like water, cleansing what is heavy, renewing what is tired, and nourishing what is still growing. Lord, as I stand beneath this morning sky, I feel the gentle wind brushing against my face, like a promise of something everlasting. The light stretches across the horizon, soft and golden, touching everything with newness. And in that light, I feel your presence quiet, constant, unchanging. Life will move forward. Days will turn to years, and stories will unfold. But this truth will remain. You are here, and I am yours. My journey with you is not ending. It is only deepening, expanding into every breath, every thought, every act of love yet to come. To those who have listened until now, thank you for walking this path of faith beside me. Thank you for opening your hearts to these words, for letting them meet you where you are, for choosing to begin your mornings with hope. If these prayers have touched you, carry them with you. Let them remind you that no prayer is ever too small, no silence too empty, and no heart too far from grace. I invite you to share your reflections, your own prayers, your quiet moments of faith, so that together we can continue building a space of light and compassion in this world. And as you go forth today, I ask you to keep this journey alive by sharing this message, by subscribing to stay connected, and by returning each morning to feed your spirit with truth and peace. Let faith not be an occasional visitor, but a constant friend. Let every sunrise remind you that you are loved, guided, and never alone. For somewhere beyond the horizon, where the sky meets eternity, grace is still rising soft as a morning breeze, warm as the first light of dawn, and endless as the living water that flows from the heart of God.